Hey, we have a 3-hour video here. The senseless cycle of SS Sniper Wolf. I've seen only one of Sniper Wolf's videos ever. So this is definitely going to be some for me as a gamer girl. Here we go. I feel like I'm going to have a lot to say on this one. I've been around the internet for a long time.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Opinion, the home of a twat with too much free time. And a question that often crosses the realms of analytical content is, who are they? And what are they trying to prove? It's a question without a concrete answer and one that will differ from person to person, but a common subconscious one that most people will employ in their day-to-day interactions and consumption of media. We want those in our lives who are closer to who they say they are. We want our faves to be as we imagine. It's a simple formula for peace of mind. One of the spaces where such questions evolved significantly though in the last decade is the internet, which although originating as a disparate space with abstract identities and relationships has become its own ecosystem, with conversations about the sort of characters that we pedestal increasing in prominence with the greater implications in the world around us on show. Consequently, the discussions around systemic roots of these matters then reflect onto these systems themselves. In many instances, social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and today's instance, YouTube. Up until the 2010s, YouTube had taken a pretty non-interventionist approach to content creation, allowing people to follow who they wish no matter how questionable. After all, the site was designed to mirror the world around it and nothing more. It was just a limb of the World Wide Web and society at large. However, as the internet appeared to develop a greater conscience around the nature of content and the creators behind it, their own feelings evolving alongside, platforms have been under greater pressure to assess who they host, particularly in the light of scandals such as the Adpocalypse. This has led to many attempts from the platform to demonstrate that they are in fact a safe space for all, through methods such as campaigns and collaborations, but also through more active policing of the content and the creators they host, including some
I do believe children content should be separate. Like, I don't really want unless I make something for a kid, I don't really want kids to see my content, right? I think that would lead to not good things. YouTube bans prankster. Oh, of course. Why would they not? Child abuse? Why wouldn't they ban them? Lies? Sure. Like, of course.
Pretty high-profile suspensions. The most notable and contentious example in this domain is Leafy is Here, who had at one point been one of the most influential individuals on the platform, yet whose infamous return after a hiatus
I don't know much about
Leafy is Here. That was played desperate to recover their ad-friendly reputation after a tumultuous couple years.
I don't really
to Leafy's detriment, his return, although covered by commentators and heralded by fans, did not provide him with a profile that gave him any protection from the YouTube guidelines, and his behavior, which always seemed underlined by antagonism and resentment to the image that YouTube...
Destiny has got himself into a lot of trouble as of recently. So, like, I'm not surprised by this. I'm really not.
He was trying to create, gave the Google-owned entity the potential to strike, both metaphorically and literally. In spite of his subscriber count, his cultural influence had ultimately been diminished to the point where he could be quietly ushered out of the sphere. What happens when someone current, hip, and trending, and even a friend of YouTube, pushes the realm of acceptability, though?
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Dude, Logan Paul has screwed up so many times, but he keeps coming back because he's uncancelable. He's one of those figures that you can't cancel because he's so, like, intelligent and dumb at the same time that he'll just come up with something new to do that you'll hate him less for every dumb thing he does.
And I don't expect to be forgiven.
But he is forgiven all the time.
Well, although we've seen it a few times, generally large creators know better to lead themselves out of ill-advised online escapades, particularly when they relate to the platform they actually post on. Many of them are probably smart enough to not want to screw up their main source of income. Nevertheless, like the Paul brothers, who have been extensively covered in many other videos, there are some who are indeed partial to flirting with living a little more dangerously on the website that has nurtured their careers. And today I hope to unravel one of the most curious and consistent examples present on the YouTube landscape. Who's that, I hear you ask? Well, I'm guessing you read the title.
Can you believe it?
Hey guys, what's up? So today I'll be doing an unboxing for Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection.
This is SS Sniper Wolf.
Sniper Wolf?
Or near to those more affectionate towards her, Born in Liverpool and raised in New
Leah.
York, she ascended the YouTube ranks in the early 2010s during the significant gaming boom of that era. Although by no means the largest creator of her time, she won over and successfully retained a reasonably strong audience with her lightweight entertainment style and fairly personable creator-audience relationship, showcasing her gaming skills and opening up about various aspects
But is it
of
really that, or did people like her because she's a girl and she's hot? Like, where are we going from here? People liked her because she was a girl and she's hot. And she played video games at a time where women didn't really play video games. So everyone knew her. Why wouldn't they?
her life. Starting in 2013, she reached 1 million subscribers by January 2015, an impressive rate of growth for anyone, and it didn't stop there. From the initial success, Leah appeared to be a representation of the best of the YouTube dream, somebody finding success by just doing what they love. However, over time, this changed, particularly as people's interests changed. Gaming was no longer the beast it used to be, and people turned away from creators who were extremely influential in that genre.
I'm gonna kill myself.
This era was my era of YouTube. And I feel like I'm gonna date myself here, but this was my young times. Right, I was a Yogscast fan. I seen a few of her videos, maybe one or two. This is what I watched back in the day.
I'm gonna kill myself. What do you mean you don't put toast in a toaster?
Loads of individuals cope with the decline in popularity of certain Let's Play content differently. However, it's hard to pick out too many of them who found an even more successful transition to the content that they make today. Leah, on the other hand, was always a bit of a content chameleon. Although a lack of strong on-screen presence might seem like a hindrance, it also allowed her to integrate her approach into other forms of genre fairly seamlessly, particularly when the genre often provided more than enough content to discuss on its own. After experimenting a little as gaming videos died out, she appeared to settle on reaction content, which was also garnering traction at the time. Needless to say, her channel growth in the years from 2016 to 2023 was nothing short of astonishing, going from around 2.5 million subscribers to over 34 million, making one of the largest, most commanding creators in the world by numbers.
Here it is, the diamond play button.
Yet in spite of her impressive statistics over the years, she has become a rather maligned figure for her approach to content creation and her unorthodox attempts at image preservation, with her personal conduct, or dare I say, misconduct, escalating at the end of the year in a clash with one of her most outspoken critics, and a situation that escalated far beyond the professional boundaries that one would come to expect for a creator of her experience. It provoked many questions around her own responsibility as a creator, but also of YouTube's response, whose apparent nonchalance after years of advocating creator safety caught many off guard, and led many to ask the question, who were they? And what?
It's because Sniper Wolf makes a lot of money. They wouldn't care if it wasn't someone that made them a ton of money, right? Let's be realistic here.
What were they trying to prove? Well, friends, I suggest you join me on this hopefully not too belated video, though I make no promises, on SS Sniper,
it's like 3
her
hours
career,
long. It's
her controversy, and what her success represents on the ever-evolving internet landscape,
46,
to her,
basically.
to us, and to YouTube. Without further ado, friends, let's jump right into it.
In Love and Marriage, Jeremy Rayner. Wait. What did that say? Tragically killed in... Okay. Sexy Sniper. She was... That is
the gaming community. It was fun for its time, but it definitely had a specific audience.
Well, she know, like, even with her name, Sexy, she knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted to be the hot Modern Warfare sniper. She knew what audience she was bringing in. She knew exactly who she was relating to and who she wanted to talk with. It's not even a question.
Going to totally kick ass. If you enjoy any of it and or have a large penis, please click the like button below.
In the early 2010s in particular, gaming was a community...
That's right, if you have a large penis, hit the like button of this video. Even though I'm live streaming, but you know, when YouTube gets this video. Except like 87% of my audience, 84, 87, something like that, is women. So like, if you don't have a penis, please like this video. Thank you, women. I don't know how you put up with me, but I appreciate it. I mean, that's not a joke.
Run primarily by males and enjoyed primarily by males. This didn't mean there weren't exceptions to this rule. Of course there were, but if you go back, you'll see a landscape clearly edged out by a certain type of creator. The loud, brash, at least slightly offensive one who represented a laddish sort of humor. Hell, it's the content I watched at the time, and it definitely rubbed off on me a little. Being a gamer came with a fair few stereotypes back then, particularly regarding the view of women in video gaming as a whole. It was true they enjoyed their nice, attractive, seductive female characters, but many certainly didn't want to be killed in a game by one.
Oh, you dirty little...
It's hard to...
Being killed by a woman in a video game is like so hard for men. And this is like, for me, I don't care, right? But there is so many men nowadays that would take such, even back then, but now, great offense. They would be like devastated. Like, I know people that would be devastated. How could I have lost to a girl? Oh my goodness. How dare they be on my Modern Warfare?
Why are you fucking camping, you stupid dirty whore?
SS Snipewolf positioned herself interestingly within this conversation, originally calling herself Sexy Sniper and creating content that many report to be interesting. After research, I too can confirm that this content was...
What? Wait.
Content that
lesbian moment at sleepover.
Many report to be interesting.
What girls do in their room.
After research, I too can confirm that this content...
Faptastic? You two put their bed with this woman after titles like this? How did we... Dude. How did... Has she ever called herself a feminist online or something? Dude, no way. If she is... considered herself a feminist online after stuff like this, like this is I can't believe it. How did this happen? I never knew this about her.
It was interesting. Some of it clearly designed to prey on certain young lads and their developing senses, but also with its somewhat surreal moments.
Her tits are out.
Oh, hello there, construction workers.
See? Moron attitude. Moron that makes way more money than I probably will on this website. Because, you know, I make nothing.
Taste ass. Oh no, I'm an alien. I'm an alien. Hello, Crumpet.
Can't look at this.
However, not too soon after,
So
she started a
crunchy.
new channel, rebranded a little, and readjusted the focus of her content. It's
Okay.
still quite obvious she knew who she wanted to appeal to, but she also presented herself as quite a passionate female gamer in a male-dominated industry, who certainly wasn't
Sure.
afraid to ruin a noob's life. And to her credit, she didn't do this job too badly, at least in the content that she broadcast. She'd regularly upload videos documenting incredibly high score streaks, and sometimes even the reactions to these. Particularly when the guys were not amused that they had been killed by a, dare I say it, female.
Look at this stupid girl. I hate you. I was just there, bro.
Am I gonna be in the next Rage video? I want to be in a Rage video, bro.
I can't stand you. Quit! I'm unsubscribing!
This allowed content to be created for the lads who may have found her presentation appealing, but also to the females out there who cared less about presentation and more about representation. Although she never appealed
It's a
to me for
win-win for
reasons
her.
that I couldn't possibly speculate over, she cast a broad net for an audience who were receptive to her content.
Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm bringing you another 100 plus gameplay, and it's 111-4, kill confirmed on Turbine. And the score streaks I'm using are Escort Drone, Lodestar, and VTOL Warship. I think it's a really good setup if you want to take over the airspace.
In these gaming days, SS
Yeah,
Snipewolf
but see, here's the thing. We have a whole genre of girls that exists now. So she just was like one of the pioneers for it, right? The amount of people that like just talk about like, oh, it has a short. Here, I'll even pull it up. These two, the twins, I see that they have shorts all the time or on TikTok, wildly popular. They're not doing anything different than what Sniper Wolf did, and we still support this kind of society, right? So like, I can't feel bad about it, right? They are representing, you know, their freedom to do as they wish. And can you really blame them if they're making money? Like, come on.
Possessed a commentary style that was different to a lot of creators at that time. Although she would regularly post flashily edited montages and gameplay that was in keeping with the community's aesthetic, most of her commentary would be rehearsed and released alongside the in-game performances separately, rather than providing for any live reaction. This gave her the opportunity to talk about whatever interested her at the time. Sometimes these would include tips and tricks, but many of these subjects were not actually gaming related, sometimes only being mentioned in the introduction.
Aside from like COD and Metal Gear Rising and stuff, I don't know, my life is pretty boring, especially now. Like, I just go to school, come home, and
She's very natural
play
person.
and eat and sleep. And I guess that's so interesting. I guess you guys just want to hear me talk about this for like 8, 9, 10 minutes.
However, if she did discuss topics, these could entail her weekend plans, story times, and Q&As. My god, she did love her Q&As. Yet why not, I suppose? If people were interested in her and she'd like to talk about herself, then why shouldn't she be able to? It's hard to say you learn too much about Snipewolf personally from these videos, but they typically were shone in a girl next door light, who was just out here living her life and gaming a little as well. Nevertheless, there was definitely more beneath the surface, and in certain videos...
My weird obsessions. Sub-dates? Explosive diarrhea? Funny, weird stories? That's a little strange. That's almost like clickbaiting. Right? That's almost like someone coming up to you and being like, hey, I know I'm hot, right? I know I'm sexy, but you want to hear my poop? You want to hear about me pooping? You want to hear about my explosive diarrhea? Like, come on. No one wants that. That's more or less gross.
You would be privy to this.
A couple of you guys have been asking me about this topic ever since I mentioned it in a previous video. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell you guys all about some of the fights I've been in. And by fights, I don't mean like keyboard warrior, screen-to-screen combat. I'm talking about like fist fights, pushing and shoving, pulling of hair. You guys think
I don't think Snipewolf ever was in like a drunk fist fight based on her ability and standing.
I'm kidding, I'm serious.
First and foremost, although she was an avowed gamer, Leah was also a businesswoman, having worked on her own business since the age of 14. When she started YouTube, she already had a budding career in the reselling enterprise and bragged about paying taxes on her earnings before she'd even blown up on this platform. This business approach is almost reflected in her gameplay. Although performances she uploaded onto YouTube were extremely impressive, she never garnered too much clout as a gamer.
If she was a businesswoman, she knows exactly what she's doing and
preoccupied
what kind
with
of
the
views and
numbers.
who's coming
Those
to her
100+ games, which often exploited certain score streaks that would send someone up the scoreboard, weren't ever that pleasing on the eye because they were created for maximum efficiency. Although she appeared to be an excellent markswoman, it takes more than that to create captivating gameplay. Even back then, content often worked with the commentary or other people's reactions to her performances. Second, and still quite foremost, in spite of the sometimes light-hearted nature of content, Leah was certainly a character.
What's the most badass thing you've ever done in your life? Ooh, I got away from 5 cop cars that were chasing me. That's definitely awesome. And after they caught me, because I turned myself in, but they actually complimented me. They're like,
this ain't a problem to anyone?
But your driving was awesome. You're like a badass and stuff.
This was certainly an interesting detail to reveal in a Q&A. I'm sure many wondered at the time what led her to being chased by 5 police cars in the first place. However, the information itself and her indifference towards it would certainly raise a few eyebrows. By now it begins to dawn you that Snipewolf was an early YouTube example of what one might describe as a girl boss, typically using the constructs that were in place to leverage her own success, but doing it for the girls. In another Q&A, she says that her favorite film is Sucker Punch, which makes too much sense. Now, it's not new that a girl boss figure is contentious among people, maybe for different reasons today, but back then, she still received hate and criticism, especially just being a female gamer who would regularly piss people off. It was even easier than usual to become a public enemy. She was aware of this and made no secret that she was a bit of a hardened person when it came to certain matters, not being afraid to talk about disputes and run-ins she had previously shared with people. And in a way, you had to be at the time because it wasn't that hard to make enemies in that community, something that Snipewolf outwardly acknowledged.
But like, I have a lot of psycho haters, and like they make pages about me
like hating on me all day, which scares me, and it's definitely the worst.
As a gamer girl in a gamer guy's world, SS Nightwolf was certainly presenting a new face for the platform. However, it was unclear whether she would be a force for good or not so good at this point. The evidence suggested a persona a bit more troubling. Now, there is a lot of information we can take away from the previous part, but even if you weren't familiar with her in the present, you could see that she was a bit of a provocative figure. Now, there were many who hated her for silly and trivial reasons. I'm sure many of them were just flat out sexist at the time. Many unsubstantiated theories flying around about how a female could never rake up scores so impressive. I'm sure it would have been very belittling to deal with. All the same, it wasn't too hard to see how someone like her could land herself in less than favorable interactions with creators and critics alike. The truth was that most people don't end up in the situations that she regularly described on a regular basis.
And some might not have it as bad, but I'm one of those few lucky people who not only has your average trolls or haters, but then I also have the extreme no-life haters. Haters who spend months hoping to try and ruin my life.
I mentioned earlier that although she had a significant amount of followers from within the gaming community, she never possessed too much respect or status. Maybe in part that was due to her gaming style. However, there was definitely another reason, and that reason was drama. From the start, she always had a bit of heat on her, which on the surface she never seemed to want. And like any person who doesn't seem to want drama, the best way to avoid drama is to go on Twitter and talk about it profusely. She regularly expressed annoyance about fake news circulating, people talking, and denying any rumors that were being spread about her. Annoyance.
Drama can't put me down. It's not even real. That's a good
About
take.
Fake news.
All this drama and butthurt because I have boobs. If I was flat-chested and or fat, you guys wouldn't care. She's not wrong. Like, I want you to genuinely tell me that her statement here is true. Is not true, I mean. This is what you do when you drink a... Stop. We're only 14 minutes in a 3-hour video. Just give me some credit here. Is this wrong? I'm going to say no, it's probably not.
Circulating people.
There's one drama. Everyone wants drama.
People talking and denying any rumors that were being spread about her. In spite of this outward sentiment though, I don't think I'm really buying that she didn't like it that much. Hell, one of her first tweets on the platform stated, "I love internet beef. There hasn't been much drama in my life since high school. XD."
Look, everyone loves a good amount of drama. I start drama when I was at work. It's just something that we all thrive in, especially if we're going online or having people we don't like. But viciously cycling that drama is not good for your health or anyone that partakes in it.
Now, maybe she changed her mind in the years following, but her behavior said otherwise.
Hey guys, what's up? So today I wanted to do something a little different and talk about Girl Gone Gamer.
With mind to the fact there was a general stigma around certain female gamers and the legitimacy of their performances, SS Nightwolf wasn't the only person encountering these accusations. Another large creator at the time, by the name of Girl Gone Gamer, had also experienced these claims as well.
Answer my question. Do you have sexy feet? Can I lick your hair?
Do you have sexy feet? The answer is probably yes. We're talking about Sniper Wolf here. Also, can I lick your hair? That is one of those questions that I consider moron, right? We're talking about moron question.
Please, tell everyone. Are you a virgin? Guys,
she's obviously
these
not.
Perverted comments, they're getting pretty bad. And the funny thing is, I get these on every video.
Girl Gone Gamer, also known as Rhea, was a reasonably known name in gaming circles back in the early 2010s. In many
that was a different woman. She still probably has sexy feet if this is the same person though.
Anyways, she was the predecessor to SS Nightwolf, uploading gameplay videos with commentary over them, but also integrating comedy sketches. However, from the start she was not well received by many viewers. I don't even have to speculate why here, the reasons were just quite plainly stated in the YouTube comments. For the record, this is a clip of the video that these people are commenting on.
Oh, go out and socialize? I'm just really swamped with homework, sorry.
Oh.
The zombies ate my brains!
It couldn't be more inoffensive.
Videos from that time period, like, we have evolved as humanity. Looking back on videos from that time period, like, hurts me now. No, like, that's why I started this channel. I used to have a different channel, which is what I'm watching this on. No one, please don't find it. It's embarrassing. It really is.
It tried to be, but of course there was no satisfying some people who were completely convinced that she couldn't possibly be a gamer. Why is she trying to relate to them? However, they weren't the only people who were convinced of this. Another figure close to the heart of the story also believed this theory. SS Sniper Wolf herself. She possessed a very strange relationship.
We have a subscriber. Thank you, Redneck Masterpiece. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that. I do. I like that name.
With Girl Gone Gamer. Although interactions on Twitter/X were regular, it wasn't clear whether they were amicable or not, with Sniper Wolf continuously alluding to these allegations, challenging Rare to a 1v1, and being blocked by Rare at least twice before she decided to upload her own video titled The Truth About Girl Gone Gamer.
And if my subscribers want something to happen, I want to make it happen for them. And I decided to make this video today because she actually unfollowed me off.
But that's because you probably were annoying her and asking her to do a collab with you, and you seem a little bit psychopathy. Right? Is that what we're... Right? Right.
Twitter and blocked me because I asked for a 1v1 for over a year now, I think, and we used to talk on Skype and Twitter and DM and...
Did you? Then why does she hate you then?
And she even wanted to do a dual commentary with me a while ago, but never got to it because I guess my channel is too small for her. But why would you just block someone that you followed for a year for asking for a friendly 1v1? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Now, these were some pretty strong claims, especially within the gaming community. A creator can only be as authentic as their gameplay. Surely this would need strong evidence to be backed up. What evidence did Sniper Wolf produce?
And there have been hundreds of comments on my videos about how she's not the one playing, and before you fanboys go crazy and attack me, listen to me. Thousands of her subscribers asked her to do a live commentary, and she ended up doing a live commentary finally after like 400k, which me and a lot of people knew obviously was fake. And when you...
Did you know it was fake? Like, how can you prove that? This woman's just trying to make it on the internet.
You speak into a mic on COD, is it perfectly synced? Or does it stay on longer, come on at random moments? Go test it out right now. Hers was perfectly synced, and I have the same headset as her, and let me tell you, I have done live commentaries, live face cams, and my mic is never perfectly synced.
Technically, I'm a girl, except I have a wiener, so there's that.
I like that in a girl.
Okay. No, not in my house.
In her live commentary, she actually muted everyone who joined. Well, that's fine. You don't want people to think you're weird or anything when you're doing a live commentary. Or because she actually didn't do the commentary, she did it after, when someone else gave her the gameplay.
Can't really tell.
Okay, here's that one guy who's gonna try to romance the girl and get her as a friend.
Rico Suave, I see you, Rico Suave.
Rico Suave? Dude, I haven't heard Rico. So if those who are Gen Z who don't know, Rico Suave was a song, a great one, about a very sexy man who got women. Highly recommended. Yeah, I haven't heard him forever. Jeez.
You only knew how.
Well, the gaming equivalent of someone saying, "Trust me." If anything, claims that were provably false. The video consisted of Snipewolf seeming extremely irked about the fact that GGG had turned down 1v1 and that she had cut off all communications with Snipewolf after 1 year of being on very, very friendly terms, and even wanting a collaboration. We have to remember that this isn't the commentary of content. Creators didn't come to videos stacked with receipts, but even with that said, all of what Snipewolf says in this video is total speculation, and attacking a creator for not doing something. A creator who, need I remind you, at the time had hundreds of thousands more subscribers than Snipewolf. However, even though she presented no evidence, people's minds were already made up. After all, many doubted GGG's credentials from the start, whether it was based upon anything material or not. Despite the fact that SS Snipewolf had an identical start.
It's just good business.
What? Look at this guy!
We lost that round. Refocus and step up.
We lost, okay.
By now, it should be clear that SS Snipewolf wasn't really someone just in this for the funsies, and although she proclaimed to be thoroughly against drama, she seemed to constantly find it around every corner, even enjoying it a little, I dare say. The drama, like all drama, erupted at the time, and Girl Gone Gamer used it and all accompanying harassment to take her leave from a community that had constantly outcast her, rebranding in the months after. This left the door wide open for Snipewolf to fill her shoes and inevitably claim some of her subscribers. How curious. I think what I find most interesting about this situation in particular is that even if they did play 1v1, it still wouldn't have been that hard to fake if they wanted to. The fact that Rare turned it down was only really evidence that she didn't want to give SS Snipewolf any coverage. And neither did a lot of people.
So this will probably be my last video about GGG. You guys are right. Why should I care if someone is lying to hundreds of thousands of subscribers?
Dude. Did you see the pessimism and, like, unsincerity in her voice and her tone and her words? What? That is the most unsincere response I've ever heard. Like, I cannot believe that. I really can't.
It's none of my business. I should just focus on myself, and I will.
Yes, soon our sexy sniper would find out that you don't really need to be liked to be known. And in the coming years, SS Snipewolf was going to become one of the prime examples of that axiom.
Work goes smoothly when you know the right steps. With Asana, you can coordinate tasks across teams and stay on track.
The ad has to play the whole thing.
I hope that many of you can see now that even when she was in the gaming community, SS Snipewolf didn't really position herself like many gamers. Really, she was a gamer who utilized aspects of commentary to substantiate her uploads. This made her quite versatile as a creator, moving from subject to subject, even if that was drama related. And in a sense, her reputation often reflected that.
He said, "Don't worry, I have a lot of money in the bank." He said he found my teddy bears. He said he has a gun in the fridge. He said it can pack a punch.
What? What? Dude. I can't. I have nothing to say to this. I don't know what to say.
Twice. He said he wanted to play with my jugs. He told me how I need a little revive.
Although she was vocal on the internet about interacting with certain gamers, the reactions from these creators were often lukewarm at best, and her videos and tweets about these creators came across as rather sycophantic, veiled in a rather transparent masquerade of humor. Maybe part of it was because of her gender, but by this point it seemed there was also an agenda. What could it have been? Well, if we had to take a more cynical standpoint, it's that SS Snipewolf's persona didn't just come across as sycophantic at times, it just was. And that between the friendliness towards some creators and the hostility towards others, there was an agenda to ascend the YouTube ladder, regardless of what genre she used to do it. Eventually, as her channel continued to grow, other creators did begin to actually take notice, and she did acquire collaborations with a variety of prominent names in the gaming community. By this point, however, she was gravitating away from gaming content, at least on her main channel. Back when it was popular, it was obviously the most profitable route to stardom, especially when you're good at the games. But
my gaming didn't really do well on YouTube, and I did it forever. And, you know, I still upload VODs every so often. This is a VOD, technically. But my video game playthroughs, I'll still, you know, record them. Why not? But I've pivoted to doing this because people like it, and I like giving my opinions on videos. So she's in every right to pivot to something that works. Like, I'm streaming my live reactions also. If you want to yell at me about live reactions, you can pop into my Twitch. It would be nice. People usually lurk here.
His interest in general shifted away, at least in the domains she's...
Also, those who don't know, I sit in Discord, so anyone can pop into this channel and talk to me while I do this. It's kind of how I roll.
Specialized in. As a numbers-focused businesswoman, she began to try out a variety of different avenues. It wasn't exactly a difficult transition for a dear Snipewolf here, who'd always had a penchant for not necessarily placing too much emphasis on the gaming itself. But as she ventured through the genres of commentary, vlogging, story times, challenges, and even behind-the-scenes content, it was unsure what she was going to settle on. One thing that didn't change, though, was the fact that she was never too far from the drama.
I usually don't give into drama and I ignore it, but when my whole feed is blowing up with people accusing me of stuff and lies being spread about me, of course I have to address it.
By now, SS Snipewolf was already becoming a somewhat contentious figure just out of virtue of being a large creator who doesn't really make the most insightful content. At that sort of relevance, you're always going to have people who don't like you. In spite of this, though, there was a growing resistance to her, the vapidness of the content that she produced, and the fact that she seemingly wasn't the most receptive to said criticism, especially back in the days where many copyright claims and takedowns were pretty final for small creators. She also called on her fans a couple times to flag negative content that in her eyes was spreading lies, using the hashtag Wolfpack to emphasize the loyalty that would be on demonstration if they took action against such hateful videos.
E-girl Daisy Mitchell called out another e-girl known as Sniper Wolf, saying, laughing my ass off, "You have no life. How is this copyright? In no way are you involved in my video," claiming that Sniper Wolf flagged her video for copyright.
Most of these seem to surround their coverage of her former channel, many of whose videos are now excluded from the Wayback Machine, as she either felt the content was embarrassing or incriminating. There were also internet sleuths who dug up a lot of pretty strong circumstantial evidence.
Incriminating? That's not good. Did she admit to that? No. No way.
Surrounding allegations that she took her gameplay from her boyfriend Evan, another claim that she often went out of her way to silence, which in turn drew more attention.
I would say there's a good chance that she probably did.
Channels, and over here it says Leah Valentine. It is her channel. I found a video of her in the Comic-Con, and of course it's her. So here, watch this video. I'm just going to show some clips, and I'm going to put the description in the description below.
Her responses to these allegations were conflicted. On July the 2nd, 2016, Leah tweets, "I'm a channel that creates content, not drama. I'm not going to involve myself in any."
Well, that's a lie.
One of her favorite words to use on Twitter is hater, especially when she wants to talk about other people talking about her. Her response to the claims that she was manipulative and took advantage of YouTube's system for her own gain was to dismiss them as claims made by people who'd already made their mind up about her. So why should she pay any mind to them? Alright then, what you say on Twitter isn't necessarily reflective of what you say on your YouTube channel though, so we'd have to head over there to see what she was saying on that platform. With the criticism still being maintained against her with little signs subsiding, it may surprise you that someone so drama-averse would take to their YouTube channel just over a month after their aforementioned tweet talking about how she didn't do drama and create a video titled, "My Biggest Hater."
SS Sniper Wolf, aka Sexy Sniper or whatever the hell she wants to call herself, has censored one of my videos. She has filed a false DMCA against my video, which was criticizing her video, Facebook Creepers.
This is Enigma Hood. He was one of the vocal, quote, haters of SS Snipewolf back in 2016, and made a fair few videos on her prior. None of these videos did incredible numbers, and most of them had a pretty...
We're talking about YouTube here, right? Anyone that copyright strikes anyone else is, like, the worst person imaginable. You just don't do that unless you're literally adding no insight to the video at all.
Tinge to their commentary. In January 2016,
especially if you copyright someone just because you don't like them. Like, that's crazy.
Called Enigma Hood Interviews SS Snipewolf, in which he intersperses a video of hers with his own to create a rather different narrative. In this video, he questions why SS Snipewolf had filed a false DMCA claim on his video, using a clip of one of her previous justifications.
Why did you file a false DMCA takedown notice against my videos?
I really don't like people using my content without permission, especially if it's in a negative way, but if it's in a positive way and you ask me first, it's fine, go for it.
Well, see, in America, that's not how it works.
No, it's
Response to this
not.
was minimal at first, as the guy is not a large creator. However, in August, SS Sniper will decide to react to this video herself, which of course she is completely within her rights to, though there were a couple of interesting details.
I heard you dropped out of school. Did you even bother to take the SAT exams?
Dude, I hate people like this that are like, oh, you have to go to school to be successful. You're giving me shit for dropping out of school. I did 2 years.
Dude, I'm getting super. I have a degree, and I wouldn't give anyone crap for not having one. That seems like a really bad way to get yourself in trouble.
Years of college, by the way, and I dropped out because I was making more money than I would if I graduated.
The first being that she actually cuts
That's
out...
probably true. That's probably true. She probably is making more money than if she actually graduated.
Part of the video where Enigma Hood talks about copyright, obviously insecure about the image that could be portrayed there, and instead inserts her own narrative about how he just re-uploaded her video, something that is obviously not true. Additionally, at the start of the video, she falsely claims that he's a registered sex offender. Wait, what?
A couple of years ago, he re-uploaded one of my videos, and you can't just take somebody else's content and re-upload it and monetize it. So I filed the copyright claim with YouTube trying to take it down. And in the copyright process, I got his real name, and of course, I googled his name, and it turns out he is a registered sex offender.
Yes, you heard that correct. She really just goes right ahead and says that shit with her chest. And of course, when someone says something with that much confidence to their fans, most of them are not going to fact check. Those that did and called her out for it
getting kind of lightheaded. So, you can't call people a sex offender on the internet without repercussions. This was before cancellations happened, so she got a free pass, but like, we can't accept this in society.
Didn't receive much traffic, and SS Sniper wasn't going to pay them much mind, once again dismissing anyone who did so as haters. In fact, declaring that her video was so successful that she was going to make plenty more. It's borderline satire in its villainy. In the comment section, she remarked that she would never lie about such information, and when she checked 2 or 3 years ago, it was there. It must have been removed since. With this in mind,
are you sure about that?
He would never sue her. He would never take legal action. So Enigma Hood filed a lawsuit against Snipewolf, her husband, and Google, alleging defamation causing monetary and mental harm. It's a pretty valid claim, all things considered, and was definitely worth being heard at least, but the case was dismissed as the New Jersey court ruled they did not have valid jurisdiction over Leah and her husband, who resided in Arizona. It seems that this time SS Snipewolf had dodged a bullet, and her signs as a creator on YouTube meant there would need to be a much more significant campaign mounted to bring attention to this, which simply did not occur.
We're on glass
However, it
too,
was indicative of the lengths that SS Snipewolf would go to maintain her public image. If she would flagrantly slander someone like that, what else was she capable of?
Everything.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
I do like the Metal Gear portions of this video.
In her first few years, it was clear that SS Snipewolf was not the most receptive to criticism. There was more than enough evidence to suggest that she had gone out of her way to silence those who attacked her or mocked her, but as long as these were small creators, there wasn't really much they could do in the grand scheme of things, particularly when there was very little legal recourse available. Snipewolf was a large creator brushing shoulders with the stars, many of whom with fan bases of their own. She helped control the narrative, and in the following months she would release many more hater videos, which often included rather extreme and unfunny comments rather than any actual criticism. It seems that Leah wanted to strawman the image of her critics and conflate them with people who were just blindly hating, allowing her to project an image to her audience that she had been unfairly attacked in the past by these people. You know what made her popular? Drama. No matter what she did.
Was trying to get
and of
more
course,
money
while
and
she
more
possessed
views.
millions of subscribers and many of her haters didn't, this was extremely effective. And like all large content creators, she continued to reap the benefits of that status. In this time, she had secured collaborations with many prominent creators in the gaming community, with synergy appearing to be the main goal. By mid-2017, she had nearly fully pivoted to reaction content, with many of her videos accruing 8-figure view counts. Really, all she had to do was stay in the good books of people.
I pivoted to reaction content, but I actually provide, at least I believe, that I provide natural insight to the video I'm watching, and actually care about my viewers and try to actually provide knowledge on what I'm talking about and enjoy everyone's presence, no matter who or what they are. And I like and love everybody. So it's fine if she goes to reactionary content as long as she doesn't milk it and does it in bad faith. I don't see a problem
and
with
it really
this.
didn't matter how she treated anyone else in her mind.
Oh my god, I'm in a phase lobby! I'm in a phase lobby!
What's
my
a
God.
phase
lobby?
A few collaborators of hers were members of the FaZe Clan, a name familiar to any seasoned gamer. They were a game clan with a more defined celebrity status, with a plethora of individual members possessing large follower accounts of their own. They obviously possessed something that many gamers, SS Snipewolf included, would aspire for, and therefore it only made sense that there were a few crossover episodes. However, as with any good crossover episode, there needs to be a little conflict.
Sensor got it. Sensor got the defuse.
And she's good at making drama.
Sensor got the defuse. Wow. What a play from
Wait, did she
Sensor.
fake
Petey
having
gets
sex
the
with
kill.
someone?
But it's
I
a
wouldn't put it
second
past
late,
her.
and that
She's
gets
just creating
Doug
drama.
fired up.
This is FaZe Sensor, also known as just Sensor. He's a content creator and former professional esports player, and like a few members of FaZe back in the day, he collaborated with the up-and-coming Snipewolf in a 2015 Would You Rather video, where they are both seated on what I assume to be a hotel sofa after a day at the annual Call of Duty Championships. In this video, Snipewolf triumphantly announces that she is going to be in FaZe soon, which seems like a joke at first, but is taken increasingly seriously as the conversation proceeds.
I'm in phase, and I'm in phase too.
FaZe Sniper Wolf.
Yeah, I just joined phase, by the way. A lot of you guys are asking me about
Oh, did you
phase.
really?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't know.
Kind of.
Wait, sir, is it announced? Is it official?
Not official. I think Banks still has to, like, get me in.
But by the time this video is up, it's going to be official.
Yeah, it should be.
Give her a round of applause, guys.
She just needs to...
Is she lying for views? Why would she do that? Why would she lie? Oh wait, it's because she's not trustworthy. That's right. Also, she's gonna create a drama out of this. Like, it's in her nature. It has to be. I want, like, them sitting on a bed together at the same time. Come on, if she doesn't make some sort of sex thing out of this, I'll be surprised.
Approval from one person, it seems, FaZe Banks. And of course, he'd have no reason to block the ascendancy of one of the most prominent female gamers on the platform, would he? So it may have come as a surprise to some that in the following month, the news that SS Snipewolf had been admitted was not published. A month or so after, she put out a tweet claiming that false narratives were going around that she had sent news to join FaZe and Optic, another popular gaming clan. It's a very strange rumor, given that by this point she had not joined either, so why would people be claiming that in the first place? But I digress. All this seems fairly inconsequential until we reach 2017. Again, the drama versus SS Snipewolf, known for never causing any friction, decides it's a great idea on livestream to flame FaZe Banks' then girlfriend, Alyssa Violet.
Yeah.
Yo, it's
that
like,
one's pretty cute.
if you're not, like,
Rice gum
boosting
on
her,
stream,
like,
huh?
on YouTube. Like,
Dude, I
just
don't
putting
like
her in
that.
everything. I know, he better,
I've seen a
no,
few
but
of
she's,
those videos. I've never
I
seen
think she's
Alyssa
dating
Violet
her,
ever.
his friend. Yeah, her roommate. She's just like, I'm gonna just fuck everybody to get a free room.
Oh my god.
I doubt it. I
This is
doubt
why I hate
most
girls.
people don't like that. I know a girl like
Everyone a hoe.
Now look,
Everyone-
it's a live stream,
a lot
not a
of people
video,
are
and people
hoes
say
now.
all sorts of stupid shit
But
when
it's
they're
not just
live. So I
women,
don't want
it's
to
men
spend too long on this because it's just a painfully
Women tend to
poorly
be
informed
better
comment that
about
reeks
it.
of prejudice
You know
that seems
why women
rooted in
tend to be
something
better?
else
Because they have
altogether.
to hold a
What
kid
could
for
that
9
be?
months.
I don't
They
know.
get-
But
they
other people
get
had their
the
theories.
desire to
FaZe
choose
Banks
people.
caught wind of her
They have the
comments
right.
and didn't take them particularly well, to be honest, sharing some pretty strong words of his own towards her and posting his own DMs of their interactions. Honestly, this doesn't really prove much.
Well,
It
he's
just seems a bit
defending
quid pro
himself.
quo when you consider the nature of these messages.
He has every
But somewhere
right
in
to.
between these tweets, there was one tweet that began a chain of events, where Banks tags another one of their creators, Sensor, and asks about the number of times that Snipewolf had attempted to sleep with him while she had a boyfriend. This was rather sensitive information that probably shouldn't have been published with mind to other parties, but nonetheless, when someone goes low, Snipewolf goes lower. And she took to Twitter to not just message Sensor about this matter, but to respond to Sensor's girlfriend, Yannick's tweet on the matter claiming that he was actually trying to hook up with her, and again attacking Yannick's appearance. These tweets were so excellent that Snipewolf decided to make them limited edition, deleting them pretty promptly, but the damage was done. The gauntlet had been laid down.
Of course she deleted them promptly. It makes her look bad. Why would she leave them up?
down, and Censor obviously had to contest these claims, showing messages he'd exchanged during the situation.
She starts messaging me on Twitter, okay? She messages me and goes, "Hey, are you going to admit that we've never done anything?" Then I responded saying, "You did text me and told me you think I'm cute and you would want to talk to me if you weren't in a relationship."
A sex narrative.
But that's not my business.
Who would have guessed?
I'm not going to defend or attack you because I'm not interested in making people look bad. I said, "You called me crying and said Sausage, which is her boyfriend, has some dirt on you." And I said, "Listen, I don't want to get involved in your situation. It doesn't matter to me."
Okay, but Censor also just, look at this. My relationship with Sniper Wolf, he's not in the right either. He's doing this for clicks.
With, "I never called you. You just made this shit up. I know why you made this up." And this is what gets me really, really mad here. "You lied and told the guys you were gonna get it or something, LOL." And
This seems like a pretty normal conversation between two young adults. Like, have you been... Everyone's been on Snapchat, right? Obviously. You can't tell me this hasn't been something someone said on Snapchat. Like, I can't blame neither party's in the wrong here. This is pretty normal for Gen Z.
"And you're too ashamed to admit you had zero chance with me." This sounds like some like middle school drama right now. Like, this is like some...
The messages don't necessarily say too much, with Censor stating one thing and Snipewolf denying it. Though I would add that this is already a contradiction on Snipewolf's end, who, despite saying that Censor should say that nothing had happened to DMs, proclaimed publicly that Censor had come onto her. Censor seems genuinely bemused in the video and overall does a pretty good job of conveying his thoughts, while also presenting some evidence of his own.
On May 18th, 2015 at 10:23 p.m., she texted me saying, "Hi, you're cute. Never secrets, flirted, slept with any guy but my man." Wait, do people really think I tried getting with anyone from FaZe? Other way around, kids. The next text she sent me was, "Would talk to you more if I wasn't in an abusive relationship I can't get out of." Leah, don't question my integrity. Don't make up false lies and try to say things that aren't true.
And not offend me never.
And don't talk shit about my girlfriend. Because this is what happens when you do that.
The evidence presented would indeed suggest that Banks was correct in his original claim. Even if it shouldn't have been made public, Censor seemed to handle the situation with a degree of dignity and shows that Snipewolf had not been entirely honest. One can't help but feel this was an avoidable situation given that it was rooted in a stream clip that didn't even touch a minute, but SS Snipewolf had proven again that if anyone had a penchant for escalating things, it was her. The person who just wanted to game and avoid all this unnecessary drama. Unlike prior content, these were established creators she was clashing heads with though, and were no longer individuals who could be dismissed as mere haters. But if she couldn't exaggerate and strawman their perspective, well, how would she respond?
By lying? By making up stories? Like, any of these could do it, for sure.
So far, we've established that SS Snipewolf has three pretty common routes to handling drama. There's the first, which is where she files a copyright takedown notice on content in an attempt to keep these people quiet. There's the second, where she dismisses them as haters. And that's kind of followed by the third, where she misrepresents the criticism against her as being blind hate, particularly blind hate motivated by her gender. I'm not prepared to ignore the fact that there were probably a lot of people who did genuinely despise her from her gender alone, but
I doubt it. I've heard a lot of women, you know, in stories. I'm going to try to be more sober than I am now. I've heard a lot about blind hate towards women, but, like, not everyone hates you because you're a girl. I love girls. I treat them exactly the same as I would treat every man, and most girls don't like that, actually. But I respect women enough to treat them just like any other person, okay? And people call me disgusting for it, but the issue of she's abusing being a woman to equally say that she's being treated poorly, which may be the case, but I doubt it. I do.
By now, this defense was seeming a little flaccid. None of these responses really work in the situation we're currently talking about. She couldn't ignore it, she couldn't silence a large creator, and although I guess she could misrepresent them, and she definitely tried, it seemed it wasn't working.
Dude,
so on July the 26th, barely a couple days after this situation transpired, she released a statement on Twitter, and what? Okay, so a drunk guy collaborated with a drama channel to make a variety of false claims on Snipewolf, including many of the ones we've spoken about prior. I'm not exactly sure what relevance his intoxication in this case plays unless he was perpetually drunk, Anyhow, she just drops the truth bomb that she's disproved all of this at some point. Good for her, I guess. And yet, nevertheless, the drama channel persisted and has disseminated these rumors baselessly until they've become accepted by certain circles. Now they're seizing this drama, which is also fabricated, fake conversations, fake texts, fake news, to try and take her down once more. She has been working hard all these years, trying to stay out of drama, and these people just continue to attack her and make her life miserable. But unfortunately, FaZe Banks and Censor, who both made advances to her that she rejected because she is a person with standards, are now out for blood, all because she made some offhand comment on a private stream with 200 to 300 viewers like all private streams. Yet in spite of all this, she has pressed on. She has hustled from a young age, worked hard, carved out her space in this landscape, and she will continue to do so as long as she can upload content.
I don't think she carved out anything. She abused drama and abused her ability of being a woman playing video games to gather views. In fact, that seems like really offensive. I know most... I want to hear in the comments. Tell me honestly, if you're a woman, which most of my audience is, do you believe that Sniper Wolf genuinely used her gender as a good thing? Like, are you proud about Sniper Wolf using her gender the way she has? Like, do you think she used it correctly, or do you think she was misusing it to get popular? Because I have no right to say any purpose, so that's why I'm asking the people's opinion here. As a man, I have no right.
And make people happy. This is the same narrative that she used when she was being criticized in 2015, though back then she overtly named the drama channel as Drama Alert. So it seems that this has been an orchestrated, repeated attack on Sniper Wolf's integrity.
And then he was drunk tweeting a ton of shit about me, and then made up this whole story on Drama Alert, how we used to hook up, and how he would even fly to my state and I would cheat on my boyfriend with him, and how we have a sex tape. And he said, I don't get my gameplays.
It really does bring a tear to your eye. Anyhow, Censor uploaded a response taking his entire PC to the Verizon store to prove the text weren't fake.
I really don't know what else I can do to show that this is a real text message. I mean, we're not cutting this at all. I'm moving my fingers around, and you guys could tell there's people talking in the background. I'm not editing anything. I'm even going to show you that I can't edit these text messages and why I would even save these text messages for this situation. It just so happens that I backed up my phone when I had these text messages from her in the past. So here you guys go. This is the same exact text message. May 11th, 2015 at 12:48 a.m. Sounds good. This was a week before. May 18th. Hi, you're cute. Would talk to you more if I wasn't in an abusive relationship I can't get out of. So when I saw abusive relationship, I thought this was a serious problem. I instantly said, after I scrimmed with my team, call me. And we talked on the phone and she cried to me. As you guys could tell, I can't change anything in this system. I can't do anything at all. I could even show you my other text messages with other people. But I'm going to show you guys again that this is her. 1 second. We're going to scroll down. She said, so Gamma is flying me to do a shoot in New York at the end of the month. This is in April. This also shows that it's her because she DM'd Banks saying that, saying that she was going to do a shoot with Gamma at the end of the month when she texted him in DMs.
I mean, look, Sniper Wolf achieved something in turning an avowed anti-drama gaming creator into a committed hater to the point where he hauls his full PC out to a store to prove a point. But if he wants to prove a point, no matter how trivial it is in the grand scheme of things, then he does a pretty good job of doing so.
Yeah,
of course, Leah's response is to go back to Stonewall denying everything, claiming that it would actually take months to verify such text, and she had spoken to a lawyer to verify. No, it doesn't. It takes like 2 seconds. Of course, again, we're not provided with any evidence substantiating this, but hey, this doesn't mean she's lying. It's just very hard to verify anything she's actually claiming, especially when other parties are prepared to go to such lengths to prove their own point. I'll add that this doesn't stop Leah and Evan, who proceeded to try anything to solicit an apology, which included threatening a lawsuit of their own against Censor, one that would just go away if he said sorry. The best lawsuits, really.
Lawsuits are hell. Nothing but stress and waste of time and money. They're constant reminders of something bad. It'd literally be 1 court day a month for months, 1 to 2 years. I'm not even part of the lawsuit, but I don't want to live through this, and I'm pretty sure you don't either. It's literally ending it in 1 to 2 weeks and carrying on with our lives, or we drag it on and go through hell for who knows how long before we're able to move on. Sue me and go through hell with me, because I'm gonna go all the way to the grave to show everyone in the world that you are a liar and that you need to own up to your mistakes. This is the perfect opportunity for you to come out and apologize, because if you want trouble, you're asking the wrong guy. I will put you through trouble, and I will prove that you are wrong.
However, she did 180 on one matter, that being her Alyssa Violet comments. She offers an apology over Twitter, which probably would have resolved this all much more quickly if it had been her first decision. Alas, by now, it was a bit too little too late, and Censor had already began uploading his video. And other classic items were being posted by people who were not prepared to accept her apology, including this one by Banks, which supposedly shows her being fairly judgmental to a variety of other females. It's really hard for me to say why this all occurred in the first place, as Leah said herself she was having one of her most successful months on YouTube, and her new pivot to reaction content was serving her very well. If she just ignored the tweets, they probably would have gone away. Yet the wolf in Leah had to say something, or a lot of things at that. I think the problem is with this drama, particularly her longer response, was that maybe you can successfully portray a lone actor as bad faith. The problem is when that list increases, it becomes harder and harder to frame it all that way before it just sounds like a conspiracy theory. And that's what Sniper Wolf's response felt like, a conspiracy theory designed to desperately put all these pieces of a puzzle together and lump in these large established creators with far smaller ones who they probably have never even heard of in some grand plot to depose her. Depose her from what?
Yeah,
people only have so much time in the day.
here?
I'm sure the Matrix has more important affairs to attend to than this.
There's been multiple allegations against Leah, aka Sniper Wolf, for lying in the past, and it's just been a history with her, and history always repeats itself. And now, not only did she lie about these texts, she lied to me in the private messages in the past. And then after we made the video yesterday, she even went as far to lie to her fans and to everyone else that's watching on social media, lied to us, didn't apologize. And you know, at this point, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm just so disappointed. Like, it's just wrong.
Let's be fair here. I don't think Leah's story is completely fabricated. The drunk guy references former gaming creator Troll Munchies, and the drama channel is Drama Alert. An interview did occur in which he claimed to have had sex with her, and he seems to struggle with legal troubles past and present. Although it's hard to trace the interview now as it was removed in 20...
Who had it? I just private interview with Troll Munchies, claimed to have sex with snipers. That means she did cheat. Also, how many people want to have sex with Sniper Wolf, really? Like, realistically. It's a lot, right? Now, you thought I would say minimal. No, it's a lot. But you have to remember that anything you do with Sniper Wolf will lead you to drama. So not in a bajillion years would I ever even have that concept in my mind. Like, I would never go through this for this type of effort. If I ever saw her, I would turn and walk the other way, because this ain't my style. I want to have, like, what's wrong with people having meaningful relationships nowadays, right? Like, well, what are we even doing in this society?
17, there is a page saved that confirms this. With all that said, where is the connection to this? We have absolutely no clue why their claims are taken so seriously when they're not even referred to in the present drama. In a way, a lot of the prejudices that existed against Sniper Wolf seem more born out of timely public sentiment, regardless of whether there was any basis to these opinions, criticisms, and, dare I say it, hate. Not once does Censor or even Banks in his vocal vitriol state that Sniper Wolf has been faking gameplay. It almost seems like Leah is trying to cover claims that haven't been made yet. What's also strange is that, to be frank, Leah wasn't even a gaming channel at this point. She typically gamed when she streamed, but that was about it. So all this talk about preserving her gaming image and integrity didn't really reflect the environment she operated in. She didn't possess much respect. And again, what does that have to do with the situation at hand? In many ways, the drama left Leah in a far worse place than she was before.
But I don't think
it seems that over those past couple years, she pissed off a significant proportion of the community who had previously worked with her, collaborated with her, even looked up to her. Her outburst here just seemed to be a significant self-flagellation for very little gain. Sure, her devoted fans may believe her, but they probably would have believed her regardless of what she said. And they probably would have forgotten it as quickly too. All this left behind was a situation that seemed to reveal some of Leah's greatest...
how far someone will go for someone else. He's not realizing that true fans of someone will go to the end of the earth to defend them. He's there. The most of her fans are probably men that will do anything to make sure that she isn't in this slump, moral dumpster. And even if it's not, he's saying they wouldn't defend it, but they know that it's wrong. They just continue to do it. Man, I wish I could formulate the sentence I was trying to say. I can't. Keep going.
Insecurities about her career and the validity of it all. 5 years into her career, and SS Knifewolf appeared to be experiencing considerable success statistically, more than she had ever experienced before. But on social media and behind the scenes, it didn't all feel like sunshine and rainbows, as she lost the faith of people who had previously worked and socialized with her. However, there was one new friend that she appeared to be making, and that was the big play button upstairs.
What's up, guys? Today we are here at the YouTube space in London.
Let's talk about that then.
She's a woman and she's popular and she knows how to get drama and agree with people. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Let me remind you that we're in the midst of 2017 now. Remember 2017?
I love YouTube.
Out of our last like 8 videos, we've had only one video that was normally monetized, and the other ones made pretty much nothing.
Yeah, 2017 was the year that YouTube's approach to, well, YouTube changed. No longer were creators left to sort matters amongst themselves, especially when some of the content created was becoming increasingly controversial. Whether this involved PewDiePie's ill-advised comedy upload or commercials being run on a variety of videos that didn't seem platform appropriate. Media coverage on all this eventually led to what is known as the adpocalypse, and the drama that SS Sniper was involved in the previous parts were buried under sways of creators attempting to generate revenue for...
Look at this picture. Every single photo she ever has is sexualized. That's what's bringing in the views. If I really wanted to be popular, I could, you would sexualize every single video. But I care about giving my opinions to things. And it's not about being popular, it's about saying the right thing and actually transforming content and meaning what you say. I don't think Sniper Wolf has, like, I think she's actually insanely smart. She just plays dumb to get popular. She knows exactly what she's doing. You know, I might be doing something really stupid right now, obviously. But it's that I'm being real and honest. And I truly like every person that watches my content. And, you know, I have comments that I love. I love people hearing people's opinions. You know, not many people know this, but if anyone ever wanted to come up and talk to me, I would be completely open about it. Like, my Discord is always open for anyone who wants to discuss anything or be in a video. That's just how I am. Because I hold no judgments against people. But I'm sure if you went up to Sniper Wolf and wanted to talk to her, she would probably tell you to go away and lose it, you know? And you would say, well, if you were as popular as her, or if you were a woman, you would do that. Well, that's because people nowadays aren't trustworthy, and people nowadays aren't... you know, they treat women differently. But I try to see the good in everyone. I try to see the good in people because that's what I care about. Because I have actual faith in society. I have faith in that people can do the right thing.
Their channel in the ad-hostile climate.
Changing. YouTube did throw it out into the world that videos could now be categorized as sexually suggestive, sensational and shocking, point out that there's profanity and rough language, and they would allow advertisers to opt out of certain tiers of that content.
The apocalypse compelled YouTube to reevaluate their image as a platform and implement more regulations to prevent a repeat of the incidents that had occurred over that year. Many of these implementations included tangible policies, such as stricter community guidelines and monetization protocol. However, on a more abstract level, YouTube were under pressure to foster an atmosphere that felt more palatable to the tastes of advertisers and wider audiences alike, which at the time was certainly a challenge. Some of the most influential creators at this time were highly opinionated, critical, and occasionally quite negative, not to mention the huge amount of political content that held a significant portion of viewership at the time. Most of this was not content that YouTube wanted to promote, especially as a reflection of themselves, and throughout the year it seemed that they were restructuring their algorithm to avoid promoting such content. They wanted to be perceived as the progressive, inclusive, family-friendly platform for all to enjoy. At the same time, they couldn't stop people from being interested in certain genres, and the truth was that at the time, reaction content and commentary took up a reasonable market share. They needed to promote creators who were not going to draw that same level of controversy. And well, there was definitely one person who fit that bill very well.
No, Sniper Wolf, lived her life in drama. What are we even talking about here? I know they picked her, but come on. Her entire life was drama.
So, if not someone like Leafy, who was it?
Oh,
hey, it's the person that caused drama to get popular.
If you guys want to see more of these videos, make sure you leave a like.
Although her public image was under scrutiny on some social media platforms, SF Sniper's channel remained largely unscathed by the situation with censor and banks, only losing a few thousand subscribers at the time, which meant very little to a then 6 million subscriber channel, and she continued to upload on there without any public acknowledgement of the drama that had transpired over the past few days. By this point, Sniper's channel had largely transformed into a reaction content mill that took popular videos and posts from other platforms and provided some additional commentary. Another 2017 event that is probably important to mention here is the Hoss vs. Klein lawsuit that was resolved in August. Although creators came down the side of reaction channel H3H3, it definitely made YouTube more sensitive to these matters. In many ways, it feels like Lee's content could be more on a front to copyright, but it was apparent the real reason H3H3 was sued was because Hoss was upset about character inferences Ethan made in his content that specifically targeted him. SS Knifewolf would seldom ever do that, moving from video to video very quickly, and certainly not giving any of these people any attention, and therefore it made her content even easier to promote.
Y'all, are you single? No, I'm plural. I meant, are you free this Friday? No, I'm expensive. Are you free this Friday? I'm expensive. Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were a hooker.
This content.
That's a fake reaction. That's not how reactions work. That's not how you. That's fake.
Was, in my opinion at least, as bland as it came, but it was also largely inoffensive, and in a time where offensive content was the talk of the town, SF Snipewolf's videos conceptually served as YouTube's antidote to that narrative. YouTube had been cozying up Snipewolf in the past year or so, sending her a couple gifts, including a very cute yearbook and a hoodie in the midst of the PewDiePie scandal. They also invited her to the YouTube space in London before giving her a tour. It wasn't hard to see why conceptually they'd like her. She had a diverse background, a presentable format, and videos that didn't seem to possess a personality that would provoke strong reactions or irrational behavior. Very few people were going to watch an SS Snipewolf video, particularly in her current era, and be upset by it. All in all, it was a marketable formula. With the drama, some might question how much she really fit YouTube's mold as an unproblematic queen at that point. However, given that YouTube were having a far worse year than her, it only seemed to serve as further reason why her content was needed. And after a couple months of slower growth, in October 2017, her channel began to seriously pick up again. And it seemed YouTube were pretty pleased with this as well. First recognized her input by featuring her in the 2017 Rewind, a video which, despite being rather clunky and bloated, was again an appeal to the good-natured aspect of creativity and the accessibility for all. Snipewolf's appearance was rather brief, but in a video around that time she contested that she was meant to have a more prominent role but couldn't find time, which, although I take with a pinch of salt, still said she was on YouTube's radar.
Where am I?
Another thing I wanted to talk about, I've been keeping this secret for a very long time. I'm in a YouTube Red show that's going to come out very soon, so be excited. I can't talk about it yet.
Not too long after came further collaboration, when she was invited to appear on the YouTube Red series Ultimate Expedition. Now, we know that this was in the works from 2017 because she briefly mentions it when talking about Rewind.
I was in the back. I wasn't up front, but I mean, I'm going at my own pace. I'm taking my time.
I think she's wrong. She's not taking her own pace. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's next to these people. She's climbing this mountain for views. She has a choker on, trying to be extremely sexy, relating to men and trying to get their money. Or trying to go to a demographic so the algorithm likes her more. Like, she's not fooling anybody.
Both of us.
Anyone intelligent.
This show was released at the start of 2018, where she featured alongside figures such as the UFC fighter, Chuck Liddell, and notable Jackass cast member Steve-O, with the task of scaling the nearly 20,000-foot tall mountain Tokirahu. I don't think there's anything too notable to add about this other than it once again seemed to represent the strengthening relationship between SS Snipewolf and YouTube. These were not invitations that they just extended to anyone, and ones that they were known to occasionally rescind as well. It all said one thing, that this was a person whose career they wanted to foster. It seems that YouTube's dire straits had caused them to lend their support to channels that on the surface seemed harmless in the content creation sphere. With SS Snipewolf, they found someone who was simultaneously harmless but also toxic. Could they send her in the right direction? About that. Did any of you guys know that recently SS Snipewolf has landed herself in a bit of drama?
Of course
Crazy,
she did.
right? This is news to me. The recent buzz around SS Sniper Wolf highlights how media bias can distort our perception of influencers, often overshadowing the full picture. If only you had a way to read all stories at once to gather the full picture. That's where Ground News comes in. This app aggregates from over 50,000 in there. Ground News or like can't really think of TPF portion.
We're good. YouTube X Sniper.
Let's make it clear, SS Sniper was not the only controversial person who appeared in 2017 Rewind. There are a few names there who had their fair share of drama, but by now YouTube should have made it clear they weren't exactly afraid to work with people who'd been involved in controversies. They were much more concerned with the image that their own content portrayed, and as long as SS Sniper Wolf continued to upload content that was innocuous enough to keep advertisers happy, then that's what mattered. And in comparison to other commentators at the time who were more vulgar, more outspoken, more rebellious, she was a shoo-in. But if she was going to increase her influence, she couldn't really afford a repeat of the 2017 drama, even if she'd avoided most of the fallout from it. In a way, YouTube's decision to provide Sniper Wolf with more promotion and platforming was a risk. She had repeatedly proven that she could be quite unpredictable and unreliable, and had a fairly substantial creator rap sheet. But YouTube and SS Sniper Wolf both did have something in common. They were very preoccupied with their image. The underpinning theme of nearly every drama that SS Sniper Wolf has been involved in is that it often begins with someone challenging her publicly and her scrambling to do something about it. But not being the PR goddess that she needs to be, often ends up doing something stupid and regrettable. She takes down videos critical of her, she insults people's appearances to embolden her own, she creates a whole narrative around people lying in an attempt to discredit those who doubt her authenticity. Whether she eventually stops or apologizes because she feels bad is another question. One that I don't think is too hard to answer, but all the same, although she regularly screwed up her public image, everything she did was an effort to preserve it. YouTube were much in the same boat, constantly under pretty valid criticism from creators and outsiders alike. They were scrambling to clean up an apocalyptic level PR disaster, and they didn't want to return to that under any circumstances. It was true, SS Sniper Wolf had a style that YouTube wanted, but would the benefit be worth the cost?
What?
That's debatable.
These are all cakes? Not the onion!
Her video was
unprecedented growth, something strange did begin to happen. Sniper Wolf mostly avoided drama.
Oh, let's see what kind of female vlogger we have on YouTube.
Wrong.
SS Sniper Wolf.
Oh
yeah, I do remember that girl actually. One of the least controversial YouTubers. You type her name on YouTube, and it's nothing but positivity.
By now, there was no way she was ever going to escape people being critical of her, especially given that even at her most inoffensive, she still possessed traits that would certainly bother people. And her content, although popular, also attracted criticism for its lack of originality. Sure, most people are more than happy to switch her off and just stay out of her way, but her increasing presence made her harder and harder to ignore, especially as someone with levels of drawn influence. In 2018, she was called out by Nerd City for faking photos. Now, she had addressed this prior on Twitter, stating that these photos were never posted by herself, and someone had actually edited them prior, but that clearly wasn't the case.
It's an embarrassment.
Just look at these absolute disasters. The few people that I've shown these two photos to, the first thing they say is, why does she look like a cartoon?
Now this is Sniper Wolf being caught in a very obvious lie, much akin to the sense
like a cartoon.
And
photos.
This image, in this image, these two are two sides of the same coin. Okay, this is getting men, right, and this is getting girls. This is getting horny men, and this is getting women to relate to her, to treat her better. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's not dumb. It's a shame. It's an embarrassment for women. It's an embarrassment for everyone on YouTube. I truly find it horrendous. Like, if I want people to be themselves on the internet, and I just feel like so many more people can relate if they are truthful and nice to each other, and you just don't see that in her. I truly believe that being kind and helping people through their trauma can lead to good things in life. And I just want to help people.
Sniper being caught in a very obvious lie, much akin to the censor situation, but instead of taking Twitter and causing massive strides, in fact, she makes the very simple decision to block Nerd City, which, although still some form of acknowledgement, is a vast improvement on previous responses. Not too long after, she posted another photo that was very clearly edited, drawing lots of criticism and, dare I say, attention, but to be honest, I do wonder if she knew what she was doing this time. Finally, SS Sniper was learning how to respond to drama. It had only taken her over 5 years. Of course, the best scenario in this situation is for Sniper Wolf to not have done it in the first place, but we do have to manage our expectations. Yes, although there are plenty of people who weren't thrilled by her success, she continues to move from strength to strength, surpassing 20 million subscribers and ascending to a level that very few ever reach. And eventually, YouTube, who had spent the last couple of years allowing her to become one of the largest individual creators on the platform, began to become more comfortable with the idea of promoting her. Their first tweet doing this, in May 2019, promotes a video titled Crazy Vending Machines from Around the World, where she hops on planes and goes to locations that host some of the world's wildest food dispensers. No, I'm just fucking with you. She reacts to photos of them, acts surprised, asks why the US doesn't have them, etc. You know the drill.
They put them in a slushy cup and then just pop those bad boys in? This is a little weird, but it is very much a thing. I love how they even sell seasoning with them.
I can't really say there was any reason from YouTube to promote this video in particular. It provides very little unique insight, and although Bit's performance is certainly decent, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary for Sniper Wolf. Other people couldn't see much of a reason either, including Nerd City, who once again criticized YouTube for promoting Sniper Wolf given her abject lack of originality when there were more than enough creators producing high-effort content. She has no originality anymore. Hell, Nerd City himself was known for very high production values and incisive narratives against many larger creators. But that was the problem. Although it may not be particularly hard to establish the more original and innovative content creator out of these two, one of these people was outspoken in their criticism against YouTube and creators in their videos, and one wasn't. And for YouTube, that was a no-brainer. They didn't want civil war. They wanted creators who were going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya no matter what they were wielding behind their smiles. And going into the early 2020s, although SS Sniper Wolf would be subject to continued criticism for alleged public and private conduct, including a situation where she allegedly ghosted a dying child, I mean, is there really anything else to say about that? YouTube only grew...
That's a demon. If you ghost a child that has cancer and dying, who only wanted to help you, not help you, look to you for aspiration and succeed, you're a hellspawn. That's horrible. If there was a dying child, I would hold their hand and sit with them until they passed away. When my cat was dying, I held him until he passed away, so he wouldn't be alone. It's just that most people don't care about other people's feelings anymore, and it's such a shame.
More and more comfortable promoting her content over their platforms, regardless of the constant backlash it seemed to generate. She may not have been the face that certain individuals wanted to see, but as long as she kept reacting in her signature style and steering clear of generating too much negative press, she was the face that YouTube wanted to see. Nevertheless, although it appeared on the surface that by now she had mostly purged the pettier side of her, come 2022, a new situation would arise that would test everything she's learned and everything she hadn't. Let's talk about that.
It makes perfect sense. If I was YouTube, I would pull on her too. That's how money is made. We're talking about money here. Money runs the world.
Reaction content has had a rocky relationship with the rest of YouTube.
Can you split or roll your tongue? Perform a reverse T? Flip your tongue 180 degrees or make shapes like a spaceship or cloverleaf? These strange manipulations of our most malleable organ are a pretty neat party trick. I'm pretty sure Tony Hawk did them before picking up his first skateboard.
Really?
These all require muscle control and tongue dexterity. Some claim that they're genetic traits, though this is heavily debated.
After it started garnering traction in around the mid-2010s, it began to be called out for the lack of transformative commentary it often provided. Those who were active in those years will probably remember the rather notorious commentator Jinx, who became the subject of iDubbbz's first content cop, a man whose reactions were, to be frank, not the most substantive.
Basically, reaction channels can do anything they want, and people are going to come to see, you know, their personality or their reactions to things.
I really like the subtext there. They're coming to see the personality or the reactions to things. They're not coming to see the video at all. Pfft. No, that's not even part of the puzzle. If the video wasn't there at all, everyone would still tune in. That's why my personality channel is just fucking booming. I mean, where I give you my take on politics.
He's right.
Yeah, go check out the Jinx Politics channel.
I think the video and the reaction
began to lose towards the end of the decade, criticism similarly faded away, and most people moved on. However, come the 2020s, that began to change again, particularly with more attention being drawn towards Twitch streamers, many of whom practiced an approach at least somewhat similar to creators like Jinx, where videos would sometimes play or even be left playing while said streamers offer very little insight or even go AFK.
I'm on Twitch, so don't take that for granted.
Allowed various work.
Do not post this to YouTube for the lack of react.
This sparked up a new debate on fair use as well, because many of these streamers often use content produced by creators with less of a following, causing concern they may actually be costing said creators views and revenue. Now, fair use is and always will be a prickly topic, and whether something is transformative should always be determined on a case-by-case basis. Nevertheless, although SS Sniper wasn't part of this immediate debate, her videos, which had always been subject to some scrutiny, could definitely be encompassed by this criticism. The only reason I think she had mostly avoided falling in this umbrella was because she did often talk a lot in her videos, but how much of it was actual valuable commentary was debatable.
That's the opposite of her reaction.
What the frick? There's just so much wrong with this video. Like, first they poured the juice, and then, oh, looks like we have an uninvited guest. Since you want to be a part of this picnic so bad, dip them in the sauce. And just, I have no words, nothing to say, just shocked.
Yeah. I think it's time we introduce another character to the story. A rather established, long-standing creator by the name of Jax Films.
Woo!
Are you kidding?
Jax Films.
Well, it's official. You're cringe.
Jax Films was a creator who had been popular on the platform for well over a decade, specializing in comedy content with a commentary twist, and general antics that were typically swamped in irony, with his long-running and highly popular Yesterday I Asked You series. In his videos on the State of YouTube, he often played with commentary tropes and provided narratives on certain creators who he may not have approved of. In 2011, he published a parody video of Ray William Johnson, poking fun at his lack of style and originality, and back in 2015, Jax Films had made a video on Jinx after Jinx reacted to him, and he decided to return the favor, mimicking his style to highlight how truly vapid it was in his mind. And it seems that in 2022, his opinions on these sorts of creators hadn't been swayed, as he appeared to have a new target in his sights.
So I recently stumbled across an entry on Know Your Meme that read, "Says a sniper wolf spends millions on new mansion."
Jax Films had not been a vocal critic of SS Sniper Wolf up to this point. He put out a couple tweets over the last year that seemed to show her on his radar, including talking about a mansion tour video and checking the main page of YouTube Kids with a screenshot of her there. But there was no indication that this would amount to anything else until the end of October in that year, when a video appeared on his channel with just SS Sniper Wolf as the title.
So this at the store want to be petty, right?
How do you deal with a Karen?
So this hoe at the store want to be petty.
Oh, he got time.
Epic, right?
In this short announcement video, he states that after seeing that SS Sniper Wolf had recently acquired a mansion, that this news had inspired him so much that he felt he had to start up a channel of his own, linking it in the description. This channel is called Jax Films, some niche reference I'm sure, and it was soon to comprise of Jack providing reactions to uploads in the style of SS Sniper Wolf, but with a twist. The videos that he was reacting to were all SS Sniper Wolves.
This is easier to make than you think.
Yeah, see, Sister Sniper Wolf and I, we're on the same page here. Mayhaps the uploader was jesting with us. Perhaps they were pulling our chains. Mayhaps 'twas all a joke. 'Twas all a dream.
The first video was uploaded on the same day as his main channel announcement, and daily uploads followed soon after. The point of these videos was pretty clear. The SS Sniper Wolf's commentary was so hollow and empty that it basically offered nothing additional to the original content.
Oh, we're gonna see it twice. I like that, so we can really absorb the chaos of this TikTok.
It was a bold decision by Jack given SS Sniper Wolf's history of DMCAing people, but he'd also positioned himself quite well, because if she did do that, she would just be proving his point. The bait had been set, and I think many were expecting Leah to bite, given her reputation. But she didn't. And after the first couple of weeks of Jax Films, the channel began to turn its focus away from SS Sniper Wolf and just parody the general notion of reaction content.
Okay, so clearly they dropped this from some... Yeah, you can tell they dropped it like from here. Because like it floats a little bit before it comes down. So they... I wonder if it was like... Oh, mate, you know what? Maybe they cut out some stuff in the background. Like clone stamp something. Because I don't know, I feel like...
I've returned...
Look at the leaves up here. They don't move at all. So I feel like maybe there's someone there.
Got my big boy pants on.
And now they move. You know what? I don't know how they did it.
Not too soon after, Jax Films fell inactive, as it seems that Jack's dreams to purchase his own mansion with the reaction money were not going to be realized, and that it was ultimately a fruitless venture. SS Sniper Wolf continued to upload reaction videos on her channel, seemingly unfazed by the criticism being implied through this content. And for creators like Jack, I can imagine such content was quite soul-destroying to do on a daily basis. As reimbursement for his work, he received a silver play button from YouTube, alongside a jovial congratulations from them on Twitter. As a funny little bit though, although it hadn't ascended to the heights that he may have hoped for, it provided its entertainment to his fans and commentary on a topic that many likely appreciated. And everyone went their separate ways. Oh wait, that's not how it went at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that.
Okay, look, practically everything I said there was true. Jack's Films let the channel fall inactive after a few posts, and it was seldom acknowledged by anyone throughout most of 2023. By all intents and purposes, I'm pretty sure that most people had moved on. However, in June of that year, YouTube, again not hiding their enthusiasm for one of their faves, quoted her from a VidCon panel that she was hosting over the weekend, stating how she had acquired many of her video ideas from her fans. Jack's Films, seeing the irony in this quote, decided to repost it with very little further commentary, even if the implications were clear. This honestly is probably one of the most inoffensive tweets on the matter, but in spite of this, a few days later, SS Snipewolf decided that actually this was the straw that broke the camel's back, sarcastically tweeting that she would have to start charging Jack's Films commission because he takes all his ideas from her. This tweet generated a significant amount of backlash, and led turns to a variety of fallacies in an attempt to defend her content, including claiming other people do it, that Jack's Films isn't funny, and that the only thing amusing is that hairline. Nevertheless, the most common response that SS Snipewolf would repeat to Jack's Films was that if his channel was really funny or effective in that what it was trying to do, then it would be reflected in the views that SS Snipewolf has a proven track record of achieving. It's quite the gauntlet to lay down to a creator publicly critical of her, but would Jack put his money where his mouth was? Yes. Posting a video to his main channel to advertise it once more, but this time with a more serious tone while promoting his little side project.
So why am I going after Sniper Wolf in particular?
It's because she's fake all the time.
After all, she's hardly the only person
and stealing other people's... She has 34 million views and he wants a bunch of subscribers and money. Like, is this really a question?
Content and reaping all the benefits. Seeing YouTube and VidCon boost this kind of activity is so disheartening.
It's not disheartening.
It sends a terrible message to creators, and that is, don't create, steal.
Like
why make content when you can curate it? I'm just gonna say it. This sucks. This absolutely sucks. Both the thing itself and YouTube's promotion of it. So now what? Where do we go from here? I've said my piece, but will anything actually change? Probably not. Which is why I'm not done.
In late July, the channel began uploading again, this time with a slightly different approach to the analysis of SS Snipewolf's content. Here, Jack's Films drops the burlesque act and instead takes a more traditional commentary approach towards Snipewolf's content, going live on Twitch and reacting to the videos in real time before uploading edited summaries to his Jack's Films channel. Here, he's still using a lot of the sarcasm and irony, but now has a much thinner veil for his true feelings on a commentary, and regularly being completely plain-spoken in his analysis of what he felt were beyond subpar videos.
Stop! God damn it! Stop! Oh my god. She's just screaming what everyone else says. And then gets, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue monthly for it. Quite literally.
It's clear that Jack's Films felt he had unfinished business with Snipewolf and plenty more to add to the conversation, regularly turning his reaction streams into content bingo, providing an interactive experience for viewers. It was a bold direction to take channel given SS Snipewolf's nature and YouTube's much more stringent approach to creator-on-creator harassment, a policy that claimed Leafy as his channel a few years back. YouTube had also made it no secret how fond they were of Snipewolf and her content, literally uploading a tweet barely a month before he rebooted the channel, branding Leah as the creator of our dreams, which explains a lot. Nevertheless, Jack's Films continued undeterred, and with a whole chat engaging with his content filled with vigilant audience members pointing out a variety of Leah's faux pas, his criticisms and observations only became more unsparing over the next few months, as he regularly appeared to evidence Snipewolf engaging in various forms of content theft and plagiarism. He would also occasionally upload update videos on his main channel drawing attention to this movement against the content SS Snipewolf was uploading, and SS Snipewolf herself.
She knows what she's doing.
So once again, I ask YouTube, are you sure you're okay with this?
YouTube knows what money is going to be made.
Sure?
It's not even a question.
I get that she generates a lot of revenue for you, but this does not look good for your brand. One of your most successful creators cheats and steals repeatedly.
Of course.
She does not create anything. She does not do anything. And I can't really call her a reactor, because sometimes she doesn't even react.
At first, again, there was no response from Snipewolf. Although she was definitely aware of these videos given the prior conversation on Twitter, she had dealt with her fair share of critics in the past few years, and this didn't necessarily seem like anything particularly different in spite of the frequency of the content. But then something began to happen. Jack's Film streams began to have a tangible impact on the success of SS Snipewolf's content. In particular, the comment sections of the videos that Jack was reacting to would regularly be filled with people sharing these exact same remarks.
Very, very possible that she blocks things like content. And yeah, they probably have permission filtered out. Yeah.
She knows what she's doing to make money.
Kayoya says the word permission is currently blocked.
People who put money over people's feelings it's a shame. is a shame. People that don't care about other people, it's just so rude. Like, if any one of your YouTube comments ever decided that they wanted to talk to me, like, I would be so open to it. Like, come on. Share your feelings sometimes. People need to share their feelings.
Sniper Wolf just gets better and better, doesn't she?
SS Sniper Wolf did try at points to subtly sweep the criticism under the rug. At one point, image that their own content.
Hold on.
Reactions to things. Fucking.
Twas all a joke. Amusing is that hairline from her and descended to the.
I skipped.
Look at the leaves up here. They don't move at all. So I feel like maybe there's someone there. And now they move. A lot of teeth. You know what? I don't know how they did it.
Not too soon after, Jojo Jack's films fell inactive, as it seems that Jack's dreams to purchase his own mansion with the reaction money were not going to be realized, and that it was ultimately a fruitless venture. SS Sniper will continue to take one of the most inoffensive tweets on the matter, but in spite of the impact on the success of SS Sniper will sharing these
probably have. Like, I think we're on the cusp.
Okay, we're gonna start here. I accidentally skipped around. My bad.
My point is, this is no longer some theoretical movement. This is happening now.
Yes, it is.
Content thieves like Sniper Wolf will have to rethink their entire strategy if the original creators keep calling them out and keep claiming their original
content. If she makes money, it's not.
As we made our way into October 2023, it was clear that Jack's Films campaigning at Sniper Wolf's content was continuing to make inroads. You may not be able to tell by watching the videos because Sniper Wolf's content very rarely deviated from its formula. But with clips continuing to be claimed by the owners, content being deleted by our titular YouTuber, and coverage being provided by Jack on his streams, it seemed like Leah's production line was being significantly disrupted. On the 13th of October, Jack uploaded another stream highlights video that documented and celebrated the continued removal of clips from her channel. Although many of these clips are old and some on videos that probably didn't receive too much traffic, they did send a message and set a precedent that could be followed through in the present day.
Yes, good news. One of the people I contacted informed her company filed the claim, and now her TikTok is gone.
It always be like
it works. It works. It works.
It really felt at this point Jack's Films campaign was unstoppable, and that it would take divine intervention to halt its momentum. What we received was an intervention, though maybe not so divine.
This guy's entire channel is just me. Every single video for the past few months has been about me. And it's just like shitting on me. And then his streams, this dude is just like low-key harassing me. Like, should I get a restraining order?
On October 13th, the same day, SS Sniper posted a poll on her Instagram story asking viewers if she should pay Jack a visit, as the shoot she was attending was only 5 minutes from his house. This was already an interesting question and provokes a variety of musings as to where she acquired this information and why she was using it in such a way. It had a distinctly ominous tone to it. I can't confirm the outcome of this poll, but regardless, she then proceeded to go to Jack's house and upload this to her Instagram story, with a full video providing commentary.
Alright, right in front of your house. Come out and talk to me. He has food outside, so he should be out any minute now to pick it up. It's ice cream. I just want to talk.
There was no censoring, no ambiguity. This was, as far as anyone knew, just Jack's house. Posted onto a public Instagram. It was doxing. Jack, who was streaming at the time upon hearing this, ended the stream quite promptly and did not go outside to confront Leah, instead taking to Twitter to post about this incident, explaining what had just occurred and calling on YouTube to act, stating that they should at least be demonetizing her or removing her from the platform altogether. YouTube did not respond, but Leah did, deleting her Instagram video but also defending it, stating that he was defaming her by claiming she had doxed him as he had posted his address on Google, and all she was doing was following up on that information. A back and forth then proceeded for the remainder of the night, with both creators making the case that the other had been harassing them. Sniper Wolf seeming to imply that this was just the natural outcome of a month-long campaign by Jack to attack her channel, and that he brought this on himself. Jack obviously wasn't tolerating this and responded quite fiercely, stating this was one step too far. He followed up on this with a video on his main channel, one that for the first time in a long time was completely serious.
In my 17 years on YouTube, I've never once had someone come to my home and vaguely threaten me.
17 years.
Sniper Wolf needs to be deplatformed. In this exact moment, she turned from a mere content thief to someone who doxes and stalks her critics
It's hard to really watch a video
Everyone
from Jack's
hates
films
their
where
critics.
there isn't any innuendo or subtext, but his deadpan delivery makes it clear that there is no other way to interpret what he is saying right now. Jack states that this behavior had taken SS Snipewolf to the next level, that she wasn't just stealing content anymore, she was actively going out of her way to endanger someone who dared to raise a finger against her content. He then repeats what he had said the night before on Twitter, that YouTube needs to step in and take action against Snipewolf for this behavior, expressing concern for the greater implications if nothing is done about this.
YouTube needs to step in and take action. If this goes unpunished, then it sets a terrifying precedent that you can dox and stalk your critics so long as you have a big YouTube audience.
That's not true.
If she truly wanted
You
to
can
talk
go
with me,
with stalking
she could have
your-
done so through
your critics
many other means.
if you have a lot of views.
But there's one thing you
make a lot of
don't
money.
do. You do
But that's
not
just
show
how the world
up
works,
at someone's
right?
house. That's simply a line you do not cross.
He also responds to the claims that he had been harassing her, elaborating on the difference between what he believed to be just criticism and unjust persecution.
In my videos on Judge Jack's films, I've been critiquing her non-transformative commentary, I point out cases of content theft and freebooting, and I credit the creators she steals from. I've been critical of her content, but that does not equate to harassment. What is harassment is coming to our home, sharing it for millions to see, and taunting me to come out.
It was quite shocking how quickly this has escalated. As a YouTuber with an excess of 30 million subscribers, SS Snipewolf possessed plenty of options and resources regarding making a response or actually reaching out to discuss this with Jack. Her decision to show up at his house was intentional and premeditated. Her half-assed poll, the basic attempt to pass off responsibility onto her audience. It showed that she hadn't changed from the days where she felt free to make copyright claims or just flagrantly lie about others who objected to her content. Of course, such behavior wouldn't have worked with another large creator, much like it failed with FaZe Sense earlier, so she just had to up the stakes with a clear, tangible threat. It's hard to really see this any other way. If any overzealous fans of hers had seen this and received the wrong idea, it could have very seriously spiraled into something much more monotonous. Surely Leah considered that. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But it demonstrated that she never really seemed concerned about how much power she should exercise as a large creator whose words and actions held weight. Much more how much power she could exercise. In her mind, this was the means to the end of the consistent criticism that she had faced from a prominent detractor who was attacking her income, and the ends justified those means. The following day, Snipewolf was herself, completely over the incident, clearly amused by it, posting jokes on her Instagram stories about last night's antics. But Jack was still very clearly shaken and riled up about how this...
She knew exactly what she was doing. If she made a giant joke about it, she wouldn't get in trouble.
It all transpired, and what it could mean for him and his wife, who seemed to be experiencing a serious lack of security in their own home. However, with this experience and serious safety concerns surrounding this incident, there was one more party who had a lot to ponder. By now, YouTube was certainly aware of the situation, responding to Jack's Films' wife's tweet on the matter stating that they were looking into it. On one hand, it all seemed quite cut and dry. The platform possesses a very clearly defined policy on doxing. It is quite simply not allowed, falling under the umbrella of harassment, and although there wasn't any specified punishment for this sort of behavior, there had to be some additional considerations for the fact that this dox was posted to potentially millions of followers, and by one of the largest creators on the platform. This was deliberate and couldn't merely be chalked up to ignorance. If this had been a decade ago, then maybe YouTube's non-interventionist approach would have allowed them to stay out of these matters. But just as they had added that moral fabric to their platform in an attempt to woo back advertisers after the first apocalypse, just as they had stepped in with other creators who many felt were going too far, there was an implied impetus on them to do something about a creator who had clearly grown out of control under their watch. Snipewolf wasn't just anyone though, she was the creator of YouTube's dreams, and yet she had manifested a potential nightmare. YouTube had spent the last few years promoting their golden girl on social media accounts only for her to turn that image for the desire to intimidate one vocal critic. Many had warned them about her continuously documented bad behavior and apparent refusal to change. YouTube had ignored it in favor of what they believed to be the most marketable content. If this spiraled out of control, they could have another PR disaster on their hands, and as coverage picked up online,
Nickelodeon after a sex scandal. This is promoted to children. We can't accept this. We can't accept this in society. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Creators waded into the matter as well, piling pressure on YouTube to actually do something and warning of the president that inaction could set. A petition was set up calling on YouTube to at least demonetize Leah's channel, acquiring over 30,000 signatures. It seemed that this matter was not going away anytime soon.
This guy has a family. He has his own life. So whenever she pulls up, she doesn't just put him in danger. This is his family, his wife, other people in his life that are being put in danger because of her.
How would YouTube choose to respond? Well, one very smart cookie over at YouTube HQ decided there was no better time than right in the wake of a controversy spawned by reaction content by publishing a tweet reading, "Would it be too meta to do a reaction video to a reaction video?" Now, there was no direct reference to the incident at hand, but given that this was barely a few days after SS Sniper Wolf had turned up at Jack's house, out for blood, and the energized campaign to have YouTube actually take action on this front, it was very hard to interpret this tweet as being a reference to anything else, and many creators from all over the spectrum decided to chime in and let YouTube know that this wasn't really being handled with the most aplomb. In fact, the backlash to this tweet was so strong that it ended up receiving a community note explaining to anyone unfamiliar with this situation what was occurring. It seems that YouTube were hoping that this would blow over, and if this was their attempt at humorously removing themselves from the situation, then it had fallen flat on its face, especially with how serious some were beginning to take this.
Because it is. She showed up to the man's house and judged him. She's crazy.
As comes with present drama, plenty of old clips began to be unearthed and reviewed by creators, most prominently ones in which SS Sniper Wolf acts extremely inappropriate towards young online users, particularly on her old Omegle series, partaking in behaviors that many would deem to be exploitative of that dynamic for content, with many of these videos fully monetized as well. I don't think SS Sniper Wolf did this for her own immediate pleasure or that it's necessarily indicative of some deeper disturbed tendencies, but even if this does just seem like a very strained attempt at perverted humor, there are definitely reasons why this stuff should not be up, and people who would use this for insidious purposes were made rightfully pulling her up on it and calling on YouTube to at least take notice of the creator they had fostered. It's tiring at this point to be always pulled back to this discussion, and many have said far more on the subject, but all I'd say is that it further demonstrates how little regard Sniper Wolf has for the safety of others, even when they're a vulnerable group. Sniper Wolf had already faced criticism from Jack for her use of underage individuals in reaction content, so this only seemed to further the case that her presence was very much antithetical to the image that YouTube were promoting. I'm not going to be showing the worst offending clips, they're bad for obvious reasons, and I don't think there's much of a debate about it. All I'll say is that many of these videos are now removed, seemingly by Sniper Wolf herself, though the remaining ones are still fully monetized. Ads running on practically exploitative content, well, if we recall what landed YouTube in the apocalypse in the first place, this may not be the best shout. As for Sniper Wolf, she uploaded another Omegle video within a week and a half of this all dropping, so I'll just leave it there. The situation was rapidly becoming worse, with pressure mounting on both creator and platform to actually do something to address the uproar regarding Sniper Wolf's videos and conduct. Eventually, just shy of a week after
the Kids' Choice Awards, do you know how many youngsters watched that show? I watched that growing up in like 2006. Jack Black was on there. And yet they invited her, the woman who had a sex scandal, and showed up at a person's house. Are you kidding me? Dude, the internet nowadays is redonkulous, dude. How do we live in this society?
Turned up to Jack's house for a little chit-chat, Team YouTube finally released a statement responding to Jack's Film's original tweet about the doxing, saying that SS Sniper Wolf had received a temporary suspension on monetization and they hoped that they would all be able to move forward from this. They also replied with a similar statement to Jack's wife, but this time emphasizing both creators rather than both sides, just in case there was any ambiguity in who they were referring to. These tweets, like the last, were also not well received for a plethora of reasons. Besides the fact that many people wanted a harsher punishment, the wording of YouTube's response and assigning responsibility to both creators or sides felt dismissive of the actual situation and the stress that Jack and his wife was put through because of Leah's decision to air her grievances to millions of followers in the most threatening way possible. Even if you believe that his content targeted SS Sniper Wolf too much, it wasn't really a situation where you could shrug and say, you both could have done a little better without looking in the mirror yourself. Not too long after YouTube's statement follows Sniper Wolf with her response to the situation. Written with all the structural finesse and coherency of notes on the back of a napkin, she apologizes to Jack's Film.
Let me start by saying eye-to-eye differences. Nuh-uh, you were just pissed that he made content on you. She's not necessarily in the wrong. Is she a bad person? Sure. But she knows exactly what she's doing to get content and money. Like, do you blame her? Do you? Like, tell me honest. If you were going to get millions of views and a ton of money, would you be surprised that you would show up to someone's house? No, you would do it. You said, here's $1 million. Give me money. I showed up at your house. You would do it, right? So, I don't feel bad for her. For her. I feel bad for him. Because she's a crazy person who did this, but at the same time, she got a bunch of money, so who's laughing all the way to the bank, right? It's unfortunate. It really is.
For not taking her grievances up with him maturely and setting a bad example to all those watching, pledging that she'll seek to resolve this matter in private moving forward. She also accepts her punishment as a just outcome and thanks YouTube for holding her accountable. Again, this was not well received, and it may have been hard to write an apology that was well received at this point, considering that her first reaction to this situation was to make it a joke. But even with that acknowledged, the failure to refer to Yakshal correctly, the optics of this being released immediately after she was demonetized, and the impression that this felt like it was written by ChatGPT did not render it a compelling response for many. With two very underwhelming posts, it felt like YouTube and Snipewolf were covering their behinds to try and take people off their case. This wasn't helped when some individuals began to allege that actually outside of new uploads, Snipewolf's content was by and large still monetized, and that YouTube's punishment was even weaker than they claimed it to be. Their policy on reprimand is intentionally vague, so technically they could impose whatever punishment they wished to. Nevertheless, it seemed indicative of where their priorities truly lay.
I mean,
an appeasement to all, but a resolution for none.
They shouldn't have that standard. They should be treated like everyone else.
Is your phone bill eating your hard-earned dollars? Then stop whatever you're doing and hear this out. Tello Mobile comes.
Despite the fact that both YouTube and Snipewolf had received criticism for their responses to this palaver, discourse on YouTube's part did at least die down very soon after. Although not really achieved through the most noble means, it seems that they had successfully thrown the heat off themselves, and preemptively stifled attempts to reignite the crusade against their diamond standard created by Jack at least. Yes, their response seemed to imply that there would be consequences if Jack's films continued his campaign, which doesn't feel like a fair bargain after their request to Snipewolf was simply stop turning up to people's houses, but I digress. If he wanted to keep his relationship with YouTube intact, it was clear he had to move on now as well, which he explained he was doing so on November the 3rd.
If you're a creator and you're open to the idea of me watching your work live on stream, providing critiques and feedback and tips, then please send us your stuff. We have a Google form linked in the description below, so fill it out if you want me to take a look at your work. It could be old, it could be new, it could be on YouTube, TikTok, whatever. And then on top of me critiquing it, we're also going to play bingo with your videos.
Although Shakeney states that he is starting a project where he intends to provide sincere responses and critiques to people who send him their clips for analysis, alongside a positive version of the previous Snipewolf bingo. Although unlikely to draw as many viewers, this feels like mature growth from a creator who is working with what he has. With this in mind, some may wonder what growth is going on over at the Snipewolf camp. Would she have taken the criticism similarly to heart? Well, despite at one point announcing that she would be taking a break, she returned to uploading nearly immediately, and doing so on quite a consistent basis. What about the content itself though? Was there any tangible improvement?
Hello friends, it's me. And today we're checking out some super cool inventions that I found on TikTok. Okay, I saw this jacket on TikTok. Look, this is so futuristic. It literally has a plug. This is literally a plug suit.
I mean, she began to add credits, which is a start, though some of the credits are still cleared to channels who did not actually originate the content, and others are just not properly credited, like this one for example. You can see that she is providing a caption as a credit, and the credit in the top left corner is still cropped out. Good luck to anyone who might actually be trying to find these videos. It shows that SF Snipewolf still treats these sorts of affairs like a box-ticking exercise to keep people happy, rather than any actual impetus from inside herself. This was the first video of hers that I watched to see if there had been any great change, and on the content front you could still whip out the bingo card pretty easily.
Bro ate every last drop of a watermelon. It don't even look like a watermelon anymore. It's an empty shell. He ate the white part too!
The commentary seems to have a bit more going on. If I was going to compare it to anything, it feels like very amateur stand-up material, which always seems like it's desperate to say more than it actually is. Again, I think it would be harsh for me to go too hard on these videos when there are far worse offenders out there, but I think in lieu of recent events, it didn't really demonstrate an active care for the process, or change that people may have hoped. She also seems to be reacting to more videos from the creator Darman, another character who creates these sorts of fictionalized, socially conscious sketches with extremely surreal vibes.
Gotcha.
Oh, she knew exactly
what
she was doing.
Looks like you're trying to kiss me, huh?
Delete that! Wait, if my girlfriend sees that, she's going to freak.
Okay, I'll delete it. Under one condition.
That's so messed up. You play dead so he can save you just to get dirt on him?
Gotcha.
That's beyond messed up.
Going over this
She's right. It is beyond messed up. But at the same time, we all know that's beyond messed up, but why is she reacting to it? Real question to the society.
content, it doesn't really instill faith that there is going to be any long-term change. But then again, as far as YouTube's statement was concerned, Snipewolf didn't really do anything wrong in the content, so why would she need to change? YouTube's criticism and punishment related strictly to the escalation and the doxing, as did Snipewolf's apology. I think one of the facts that many were acutely aware of but afraid to admit was that people didn't watch SS Snipewolf for SF Snipewolf, they watched for the source material, and although altering the content to be more transformative may appear on the surface to be a seemingly unbridled positive implementation, I think Leah was likely worried that such a change could easily distract people from the original content and make her reaction videos less appealing to the populace. The point of JoJoJax Films was to point out that Snipewolf offered very little value to her commentary, but that may be also what made her so popular. It's important to keep in mind that the majority of people who view this content will be completely unaware of her run-ins on the platforms. Even Jax Film's most viewed video only touched a fraction of the number of subscribers SS Snipewolf held. And then you'd have to assume that a majority of these viewers still aren't Snipewolf regulars. YouTube had this in mind as well, that this matter was strictly for netizens who are invested in the discourse surrounding the majority of Snipewolf's existence on the platform. Sure, it was a worthwhile discussion to some, but not to YouTube. Majority of people have no connection to this stuff and like to just switch off by watching stupid memes, and Snipewolf facilitated that. So really, YouTube's response should have done exactly what they wanted it to, allow people to move on. But they didn't, really, did they? Jax Films may have moved on, but many people still felt that justice wasn't really served, and that because Snipewolf had been given such a slap on the wrist, returned immediately without any real acknowledgement, and continued to create the exact same content, that they couldn't really let it go as easily. For a good few weeks following the confrontation, the comment sections on her videos were turned off completely. However, when they returned, they were flooded with many who decided to let her know how unamused they were. Any comments to the contrary were ridiculed, and many of those that were positive were weirdly generic or from accounts that keep offering people Robux in their names, which I feel isn't a legitimate means to acquire them. A lot of viewers accusing Snipewolf of botting these. Although I agree there are definitely bots present, particularly in the comment section of the Billionaire Girl video, I don't know if they're purchased by Leah herself, but it did say a lot about how critics felt about her continued presence. They were still not happy.
She didn't care. She didn't take accountability. She claimed she didn't know what doxing was. She laughed about her sister after. Her sister went on some massive tirade about how everyone's an idiot and Snipewolf didn't dox anyone. Like, there was no remorse.
Alongside this, plenty of content continued to be uploaded on Snipewolf, some of which we'll be talking about very soon, but very little of it remotely favorable to her character or actions.
I think what makes this so dangerous is, like, she has a big fan base and so does he, and if someone hates him, they could literally go to his house and fucking hurt him. That's what makes this so dangerous.
That's why doxing is the cardinal rule.
It all sent the message that people were deeply dissatisfied with this outcome and had little intent on letting her off in the public sphere. Regardless of what YouTube said, their decision and Snipewolf's response was the exact reason many were not moving on. However, behind the scenes, something was brewing as well. Something that would bring the Snipewolf channel and YouTube's involvement under further scrutiny. Just as the Jax Films conflict was heating up at the end of September, there was another headline that flew mostly under the radar at the time. This is one relating to her ex-boyfriend and husband Evan Young, also known online as Sausage. As a gamer boyfriend, he always possessed a decent presence on the SS Snipewolf channel, featuring some of Leah's most viewed content. He'd been a part of her and the channel's life from the off, and seemed to be Leah's rock when she found herself in tough times. Even when she was accused of attempting to cheat on him and branding him as an abuser, Evan rushed to defend her honor and reputation. With that said, their relationship hadn't always been sunshine and rainbows, and they had been reprimanded by the law in 2016 for a domestic altercation. Snipewolf also seemed to go through breakups with him, occasionally covering this in her content.
I don't know. We are not together right now. We broke up. He broke up with me. We still have a house. We have a house together. He doesn't want to leave. I don't want to leave.
With all that said, it still surprised many that in 2022, rumors began to circulate that Snipewolf had broken up with her sweet Sausage for good. Towards the end of the year, there was a brief post onto her YouTube community tab that was quickly deleted. It claimed to be from Evan, stating that he was actually the creator of the SS Snipewolf channel as part of a flurry of projects, and that he and Leah were supposed to be partners in business and life. But unfortunately come to the conclusion that irreconcilable differences would driving their relationship apart, and that he would be deactivating the channel in the meantime until he worked out an arrangement to take it forward. The channel remained dormant for just under a month before SS Snipewolf returned, with no real acknowledgement of the events that had just occurred. However, the rumors about her and Evan being separated was all but confirmed the following year with a tweet from Snipewolf, quoting someone on the matter and updating them that this marriage had fallen apart. As of right now, they are still legally married, but living separately with a divorce case pending, and it seems that this marriage was only going to come under greater strain with the revelation that Evan Young was filing a lawsuit against his former partner in crime, claiming that she had breached their business contract and that he was entitled to significant financial remuneration. Yes, on August the 17th of 2023, a summons was issued to Snipewolf, with an accompanying complaint accusing her of a variety of malpractice which interfered with their business, Channel Red. In the lawsuit, Young goes into many of the details surrounding Sniperwolf's background that was often shrouded in mystery, including the history of the Sexy Sniper channel, the content that it posted, and the subsequent creation and operation of SS Sniperwolf, with details that state in very plain terms that Leah was never actually the individual driving forward the content, that she was merely reacting to the videos.
I'm hungry and I'm tired. I'm probably gonna get off after this. Of course. I think I've had enough COD for one day.
With regards to what we discussed earlier, this was all very illuminating information and lined up with the deleted post that Evan had allegedly put on Sniperwolf's channel the year prior. The case's details continue to document that throughout most of the project's lifespan, it had been plain sailing for Leah and Evan, who had split the profits between the channels 50-50 and shared the fruits of their labor, even setting up an LLC to consolidate their success. However, this began to go south when, unsurprisingly, Leah and Evan separated. This is where it all becomes a bit spicier. Evan claims that upon separation, Leah conspired with the brand manager to write him out of the equation entirely and cut off any and all access to the channel, setting up new channels that would redirect the income that they shared between them to go exclusively, or at least predominantly, to her. These videos mainly consist of re-uploads and content that Evan claims was created under the 50-50 agreement they shared between them, thus meaning that Sniperwolf was siphoning his half of the money under the pretense that this was a separate project, and refusing to relay any of the information about these finances back to them, causing financial damage to him and the LLC. In addition to this, Evan claims she proceeded to lock him out of Channel Red's social media accounts and stole hard drives from their shared residence, which contained important information on the company, attempting to use them as bargaining chips to coerce him into signing an NDA, which caused Young to lock Leah out of the Sniperwolf channel out of concern that further actions taken on the channel could harm their business interests. Although these were subsequently returned, it's certainly an insight into how tumultuous their relationship had grown, but more importantly, a reflection on Sniperwolf's channel that had constantly conspired but seldom spoken about by any parties privy to this information.
Yeah, it was nice playing with people with brains. Well, the only thing that sucked is that I don't have a mic, and like before, it wasn't an issue at all because I was playing solo and I didn't talk to anyone, obviously, and I could concentrate a lot better and get better gameplays, but now since I have a legit team, I definitely want to try and get one in the next few weeks. I'm kind of obligated to.
The claim that Sniperwolf was never really an actual creator. She was just a shell of a persona that reacted to other people's works, even when those people had supposedly agreed to it. If this could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then it would definitely illuminate the character behind the caricature. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence that supported this as a cursory glance, particularly surrounding the rumors in the past, which would be regularly dismissed by Sniperwolf as fabricated. Now, it's true that Evan could have used his knowledge of these rumors and evidence to create a case, but given SS Sniperwolf's record of perhaps slightly dishonorable behavior, most of this seemed pretty believable. Whatever your stance, it was hard to deny there were details here that deserved attention. At the same time, Sausage's lack of public presence comparatively to Sniperwolf, and the fact that he likely knew that speaking about it publicly could jeopardize this case, meant that it largely flew under the radar. Or at least it did until around mid-September, when YouTuber and delightfully camped lawyer by the name of Mad Catster unearthed documents relating to the proceedings, and provided it with a bit of publicity and expert analysis to boot. Its coverage and commentary in mid-September catapulted the lawsuit onto many creators' radars, particularly given what such information may represent to the narrative surrounding Sniperwolf and her then transpiring feud with Jax Films.
And record his gameplay. Young would then prepare a script for each recording for Shalesh to read on camera while acting as though she was playing the recorded video footage. So he's saying it was all fake, that she wasn't actually playing the games. He was doing the gameplay and she was just providing the commentary.
This was a pretty serious allegation from someone even closer to Leah. How would she manage all of this? Could she?
If this would have come out in 2013, she would have been annihilated off of the internet. Like, in all reality, this was a big deal back then, and it's like, I assume it's a big deal. I don't
new channels, ones that we can assume were referred to in the original claim, and this turmoil caused Sniperwolf to file a temporary restraining order, a TRO. That there was a ceasefire agreed, but this was breached when this lawsuit was filed by Young. In addition, they also summarize a response to Evan's claims below their own counterclaims, and if you go over the original complaint and their response, Sniperwolf does categorically deny that Evan possessed the influential role that he claimed to operate on the channel. So these were two very conflicting stories, and on the basis of what had been said at this point, we can neither prove nor disprove affirmatively what was being said. However, there were a few inconsistencies that were worth being paid some mind. For example, the claim that SS Sniperwolf created these alternative channels in response to being locked out of her YouTube account. Chronologically, we know this simply isn't possible because those channels were created in September of 2022, and the alleged shutout was in October. So unless it was a coincidence that she set up these channels a month before, she was psychic, or this lawsuit is occurring in a multiverse with a different timeline, then that is simply not possible. Outside of this, there are other details that seem to suggest that Young's role wasn't as trivial as her representatives portrayed it. Although denying many of the details listed in the complaint, Sniper Wolf admits that they set up the channel with details from both parties, which would seem like a strange decision if it was strictly her channel. Further to this, the details of the ceasefire agreement seem to give him a decent level of control, which wouldn't seem to be the case if he had little legal grounds to have a say in the direction of the channel. If a majority of people were to take a look at the contrasting documents filed on this matter, they would come to the conclusion that her husband appears to have a more watertight case on the whole, and the evidence even referred to in Leah's own response seems to support that. Many would look at this and conclude that SS Sniper Wolf had never truly been an original channel, and although it had been years since she gamed, one might begin to wonder if anything else about her life was constructed too. Well, some people thought just that. So far, we've established there is probable cause to believe that the authenticity of SS Sniper Wolf's channel and persona were fabricated to deceive audiences into giving her false credibility that she hadn't earned. Nevertheless, although it's pretty shitty behavior with what we know now, and particularly with how she weaponized that same narrative against other creators, there was no gameplay for her reaction content, and given how low effort the content fundamentally was, there's absolutely no reason for it to be stolen and plagiarized under any circumstances regardless. The point of JoJoJax films was that this was content that added so little that the least we could say was that it was actually her, right?
Wrong. There's multiple instances in which you can see the reflection of her monitors in her fucking glasses, and it's just white. You see her microphone, and you see just a white screen. I don't see this video with the quirky trampoline, white boy jumping off it and hurting himself. I see a fucking Google Doc.
Well, there have been speculation and content around the time as to whether these uploads were actually using other people's work. Although most of it seemed quite tentative, there was one creator who was going to enter this pitch and claim just that. Let's talk about her then.
Guys, I don't know what this is, but I want to do it too. Like, lady, can I join you? Can we be friends who throw hair on needles? I don't know why, but like, don't lie, you guys want to do this too.
This is Azzyland. She is a content creator who operates in the same genre as Sniper Wolf, creating reaction-based content on viral online videos. Also akin to Sniper Wolf, she started off primarily in the cosplay and gaming community before transitioning into reaction videos.
We did it. We hit 10 million subscribers. It still feels so surreal to me. I just feel like a regular girl. I don't feel like I need 10 million subscribers, but...
Over the years, she has accumulated a following of over 10 million, which, although not quite at the level of Sniper Wolf, is still an enormous audience to command. Given their similarities in genre, style, and success, many people drew comparisons between the channels, and there was a marked crossover between the fan bases, with many viewers requesting collaborations between the two creators. We'll return to that in a moment, but with the implosion of SS Sniper Wolf's reputation throughout October 2023, creator Nerd City, an outspoken critic of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, returned to the scene that he had purveyed so many times before to shine a new light on Leah's lack of originality. But even though she may have left the gaming scene behind, Sniper Wolf could still not create something of her own, teaming up with Azzyland to release a 35-minute expose on how exactly Sniper Wolf had copied her content, alongside many aspects of her content as well, and spun it to make herself look like the victim.
The difference is Sniper Wolf is telling them that it's a problem. So it's not just that these fans notice and they're organically being like, oh, I saw Sniper Wolf's video first and now I see Azzy's video and this is the same, and they're reaching their own conclusion that you had copied her. How many times have you noticed that she's copied your thumbnails or a title or whatever? Did you ever bother to count them?
Things that are like very obvious, like
Sniper Wolf
exact
knows how to make
replicas,
money because she has
it's minimum like 50.
She does.
But if you're not counting those, like up to 200.
There is a lot of compelling evidence shown of videos in the past where the thumbnails and titles have been jarringly similar, and the narrative goes even further than that. Drawing on an example where SS Sniper Wolf does a house tour, and Leah's wearing the same dress as Azzyland had in a previous house tour of her own. Nerd even goes as far to allege that Sniper Wolf mirrors Azzyland's voice. It seems far-fetched until you read Sniper Wolf's claim that it was Azzy mimicking the way that she talks, which again, seems like a preemptive attempt to maneuver a narrative.
When I made my video about Sniper Wolf, there was a voice that I couldn't quite place what it was, and I started to make a montage out of it.
The weird baby talk ebonics that she's adopted for YouTube.
I'm just reaching for some name for it, and I call it baby talk ebonics. And because I couldn't figure out what this was. And when I finally watched some Azzyland content, I was like, there it is. That's the voice.
We don't care what you are. We don't care if you're not even the same species.
Wait, they got a house? Why are they so angry all the time?
One of the strongest criticisms, however, revolves around how defensive Sniper Wolf is when this is brought up, even going as far to say that Azzy is the one who's been copying her content, falsifying evidence to add credence to this narrative.
If you go to my videos and scroll all the way down, 10 months ago I started doing like funny text videos, and I started doing this style of thumbnail 10 months ago too. And I made up this type of thumbnail. Here's one from 9 months ago. This type of thumbnail just became my thing, my style. Like, my subscribers would know that they're my videos because of my style. If you go to her channel and scroll, you'll see that her first texting video was 8 months ago. And then 7 months ago, she started using the same kind of thumbnail that I was making.
Leah's claim against Azzy entirely hinges on this assertion that this is the earliest example of the precious red thumbnail text message combo. Now, several years have gone by, and that video and the one next to it were deleted from YouTube. I don't know why. But we can tell from the context, even to this day, that it sat between this video and this video. April 15th, 2017 and April 18th, 2017. Now, the screen cap from SS Sniperfish conveniently stops. She scrolls all the way down to only July 3rd, 2017. Now, why did she stop there? Because had she kept scrolling, she would have found this. February 3rd, 2017. Look at that. Now, you might be saying, but nerds, what if Azzy is tricking us? What if Azzy tricked you? What if she changed the thumbnail after Sniper Wolf's video to jam the thumb in earlier than Sniper Wolf's screen cap? I'm losing my mind. No, there it is. Objection. Among Us, sustained. There it is, seen in February 2017. Winner, Azzy Wolf.
The greatest question that one would ask at this point is why? Nerd seems to think that the fact that she is deeply insecure of these actions and is preemptively calling someone out because she is projecting her own misdeeds onto others, and the fact that she is simply not prepared to admit anything that might blemish her image. This stacks up with what we know about her thus far and the lengths that she has gone to submit others in the past. What would Sniper Wolf say to all this? Well, despite announcing towards the end of October that she would be taking a step back from content creation, as the news spread to media outlets who further picked up on this story, Sniper Wolf returned to Twitter quoting a Dexito article and claiming that it was in fact Azzyland who was copying her, stating that she has a variety of videos and backups to prove just this, and that the assertions that Azzyland was making throughout her video with Nerd City were fraudulent. Now, to be fair, you might want to return from a hiatus if someone's spreading claims about you in your absence, and if she did indeed have the evidence to back this up, then Azzyland was in trouble. How would she do this? Well, her next tweet in response to the original post is an image of both of their channels side by side and videos uploaded on these channels. These videos don't seem directly related, so I'm not entirely sure what the point of this tweet is here. Is it meant to prove something? They both upload content. This is true. Genuinely, this could be one of the laziest responses in existence. I could actually find examples where Azzyland has uploaded content after Sniper Wolf. It doesn't mean it's copied, but it would have been more persuasive than whatever this is. And again, people were quick to point this out. She then goes for the I hate drama angle, which is just laughable at this point, given that it's not even a month after Leah turned up to Jacksfilm's house and posted it on her Instagram. It really doesn't become more dramatic than that. With every single post, Sniper Wolf was proving her critics right with just how fake and insincere she was, and it was making anyone else who had been subjected to her wrath look very good, even some whose content may be contentious.
It's been such a nightmare because I'm like, it's made me not want to like open my phone or log in or be a part of social media when at some point like this was like a safe place for me to come and escape reality, and now it became like hell.
You log in and you're being tagged constantly in negative comparisons, or where you're being accused of plagiarism.
Yeah, it's like even if I try to avoid it, it will just pop up on my feed. I could not look at the comments, it will just pop up non-stop.
Being a creator in the same genre of content, Azzyland's videos didn't draw the most sympathy from audience members who felt that unoriginality is a problem with the genre as a whole. At the same time, SS Sniper Wolf's approach to content creation, acting so high and mighty about videos that to many required the least effort possible, and then trying to moralize about issues like plagiarism, did make Azzy, who never necessarily purported to be anything greater than the creator she was, a somewhat sympathetic character, particularly how she was portrayed and seemingly treated by Leah. Sniper Wolf's deliberately constructed campaign to frame herself as a victim of content theft backfired awfully, and by now she was beginning to look like a rather serious problem that seemed to require active effort to pursue. It would lead many to ask, for what purpose does she even do this? Well, I think we have enough examples to perhaps answer that, as long as we make a few inferences.
Where are we?
Now look, even if what Sniper Wolf had claimed was true, and it wasn't, but even if it was, that would be nowhere near as crazy as plagiarizing a house tour and getting flexed on by someone who's not even comfortable in their own skin, in their own dresses, looking in their own mirrors, in their own house. Forget plagiarism. Like, that is actual mental illness.
Now, Nerd City's video and a series of that are an eye-opening analysis into the mind of Sniper Wolf, and at least investigate the potential psychological causes behind her behavior. I would definitely encourage you to check it out if you have the time. However, I want to set that aside for now to focus more on the history between Sniper Wolf and Azzy, and all of Sniper Wolf's critics at that, because although I don't think anyone should ever blame Azzy for what she's been subjected to, there are some more details that I think paint a more defined picture of Leah and her pattern of behavior. As we know, both Azzy and Sniper Wolf's content were kind of cut from the same cloth. I don't think that either of them set out with the idea to become a carbon copy of each other. With creators who are kind of crafting their content around the flavor of the month, there will be overlap. They both seem to move into these genres from gaming and challenges, and at first it did seem a bit of the two creators emulating the general scene at the time, without any clear connection on who was copying who. There were seemingly tweets made around the time from these creators. You can tell from the replies that there had certainly been discourse, but most of this appears to be lost to time. A couple commenters stating that Azzy had compared Sniper Wolf to a porn star in an old Q&A with Quebblecop, though I couldn't verify that either.
Why does Diva look like she's wearing butt pads?
Sniper Wolf had been making certain allusions to Azzy around this time as well, so they were definitely on each other's radar with potential beef, but nothing too much had been mentioned. Addressing the Diva comment, Azzy even clarified there was no beef here.
From my end, there's absolutely no beef, and I'm like 99.9% positive there isn't any beef. On her end either, like, there's no reason for there to be any beef.
However, this changed when Azzyland herself made a tweet at the end of 2017, drawing a connection between a video that she had published and one that Sniper Wolf had a couple months after, accompanied by the comment, "Coincidence?" Sniper Wolf did not respond to this tweet. However, her husband, the glorious Evan Sausage, did, posting some screenshots of his own alongside allegations that Azzy had not just copied their topics before, but also lifted aspects of their branding and design. So there's definitely a bit of friction here. However, this is not where the story ends. Azzy then quote tweets Sausage, saying that she was not calling Sniper Wolf out, and that she had plenty more examples where these came from. Pretty normal, right? Now, you see the real kicker here is in the second paragraph of this tweet, where she states that she was surprised that Evan is out here fighting her battles, given that he probably has some gameplay for her channel to record. This tweet acquired a good few thousand likes and even received a reply from FaZe Censor, who concurred with this sentiment and stated they should really just be upfront with it. It's clear the powers were coalescing against Sniper.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a showdown of the ages taking place here on Versus. Azzyland going head-to-head against the one and only Sniper Wolf. This isn't only a comparison video between the two beautiful YouTube gaming and cosplay starlets, it's also a real-world beef that has recently been playing out via Twitter.
Now look, more power to Azzy, but if we look at Sniper Wolf and the threshold for what can provoke her, this clears that threshold by a significant distance. You see, it's true that Sniper Wolf probably does project many of her insecurities onto other creators. However, there's also just the simple fact that she seems to have a nature to disproportionately react to anyone who calls her out, no matter how innocent or irrelevant they may be. You make an enemy out of Sniper Wolf, you're going to hear about it. And this lines up with the story that inevitably follows.
She tried calling me out on Twitter saying I copied her thumbnail. I didn't. I made my own. The same way I've been making them long before her.
Sniper Wolf's video the following year, boxing YouTubers, explicitly mentions this situation as the catalyst for why she is talking about Azzyland. In true Sniper Wolf fashion, she blatantly lies in the framing and misrepresents evidence that was favorable to Azzy's side. But it helped lay the breadcrumbs to the narrative over the coming years, which probably wouldn't have become such a big deal if it hadn't been for social media sites like TikTok, but allows Sniper Wolf to use her influence to continue her campaign against the creator. It's very possible that with videos like the house tour, Sniper Wolf was laying the foundations for the copying narrative, just so she could win. It certainly takes it to a uniquely obsessive level, but really, it's nothing particularly new for her. And psychological explanations aside, they all say one thing: retaliation.
And we used to talk on Skype and Twitter and DM, and she even wanted to do a dual commentary with me a while ago, but never got to it because I guess my channel is too small for her. But why would you just block someone that you followed for a year for asking for a friendly 1v1? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
If we take all the people who have been unnecessarily slighted by Sniper Wolf, it's not that they never did anything to her or said anything about her. Nearly every last one of them did just that at some point, even if it was as passive as blocking her on YouTube or not playing along with her schemes. For Leah, it's not completely directionless spite. It's the issue of making enemies that provokes her, especially if those enemies claim to see through the facade that her channel portrays. And so when Azzyland called out Sniper Wolf for essentially being fake, that was the declaration of war that Sniper Wolf received to make sure that it was Azzy's reputation that was the one that suffered and not hers. Someone else has to suffer more than her. So whether it's accusing a female gamer of faking gameplays because she didn't want anything to do with Sniper Wolf, copyright striking those who made videos criticizing her for that and other acts, calling someone a sex offender because he called her out for copyright striking, alluding that someone FaZe-related had been abusing and blackmailing her when dealing with the censor allegations, turning up to Jacksfilm's house when he persistently attacked her channel for its lack of originality, and of course promoting the narrative that Azzyland had been ripping off her channel when Azzy brought up a sensitive matter of her gameplay. Leah could never be the one who suffers the most in a two-person conflict. Although these methods weren't always effective for her image, and Sniper Wolf was practically always portrayed as the person in the wrong because of them, she succeeded in one sense of normally being the person to solicit more harm towards another because it was apparent she had little to no remorse for her actions. Even in a situation like the one with Jacksfilms, you could argue that although she received much more backlash, she fundamentally suffered less because only one person left that situation not feeling safe in their own home, and it wasn't her. Ultimately though, this nature of continuously being the one who had to escalate matters creates a snowball effect. It creates a load of slighted people who may feel a bit alone in being mistreated and harassed by a multi-million subscriber creator, but eventually the remains of such public feuds build up, and when someone looks a bit closer, it all shows a very clear portrait of someone who, regardless of her roots, was not interested in changing her ways, improving her content, or improving as a person, and no matter how many times people pointed out this behavior, she persisted nonetheless, even when that person was her ex-husband. Was there anyone in her corner? By mid-2023, to many people, even those who may have felt some modicum of sympathy towards her, SS Sniper Wolf was on her own. She still seemed to have friends and family, but she antagonized many of those who may have shared a space with her online, and alienated those in the peripheral who thought critically about such situations. Along her way, she forfeited many meaningful relationships, even the ones with those closest to her. Who was really fighting for her at this point? Throughout much of Leah's career, Evan Sausage was the one consistent factor, the rock for her channel. He's a very curious character all in all. Going off his name, you wouldn't really assume he is a branding genius. I can only speak for myself, but I personally have heard few more unappealing names in the gaming industry than Sausage. It's really hard to say Sausage without cracking a bit of a grin. Sausage. Nevertheless, going off what we knew, it seems that he was the mastermind behind much of the SS Sniper Wolf channel content, and that even though he wasn't a PR guru, he definitely knew how to handle drama more carefully than Sniper Wolf had in the past. In a way, he was the one person Leah could unconditionally rely on because his interests were in the channel's success as well. He placed that reputation in defending Sniper Wolf, even when it meant potentially tackling humiliating subjects like Leah's text with censor. So it must have been a bitter pill to swallow when Evan decided the relationship was unsalvageable, and the implications this possessed for the channel. Reflecting on the interactions past the point that Evan had filed for divorce was certainly enlightening, and if anything, the contrasted approach seemed to tell many people all they needed to know. Whereas Evan's representatives seemed to plainly state their version of events from a detached perspective, Leah's seemed more interested in using bravado and rhetoric in an attempt to elicit some sort of reaction, using emotionally charged language to make their case. If this was Leah writing, I'd be more inclined to be clement and say it's an emotional subject, but these are her lawyers. They have no excuse, they have no reason to write like this, especially given the near decade-long relationship and subsequent marriage, which one would assume would at least have some emotional and logical value to it.
I'm like, wait, I didn't really date anybody, huh? There was that one guy in high school for like half a day relationship, and I really liked him, and then after that, wow, have I not had like a boyfriend before Evan? I haven't. That's kind of crazy.
The narrative is concocted, though, that Evan is a man who is mentally unstable, and that his actions in attempting to secure control of the channel are being taken because he cannot fathom the dissolution of the marriage, and the potential financial implications for it. It's written like a fantasy, where SS Sniper Wolf was lured into business dealings by the evil Evan, who has finally lost control and is lashing out in every direction. Overall, it's not a particularly convincing narrative with the knowledge that he's the person who filed to dissolve. As a matter of fact, it's quite wild that the answer in this case, where Leah's representatives go out of their way to portray her ex-partner as unhinged and unpredictable, was issued barely a few days before Sniper Wolf would turn up and attempt to confront Jacksfilms at his own home. However, in this moment, Leah's once again the person who can never be in the wrong, even when having to confront various facts in the most high scrutiny environment possible. It seemed to say that the public image was worth far more than anything else, including that marriage. Now, make no mistake, I can't tell you with 100% certainty who the villain is in this specific dispute. Evan hasn't exactly covered himself in glory during his tenure on the channel. He was still seemingly complicit in quite the deception by his own admission, and he may well have been a subpar husband. I wasn't present at the residence for those altercations. At the same time, the attempts to reach by Sniper Wolf's lawyers are so desperate to portray a clear villain in the story that they end up doing the opposite and instead drag another party into the matter. Who do I mean exactly? By mid-2023, to many people, even those who may have felt some modicum of sympathy towards her, SS Sniper Wolf was on her own. However, that statement isn't entirely true, because there was one more party pulling the strings behind the scenes to ensure her success. And by now, I think you know who that is. In the lawsuit, to support this notion that Evan is some deranged maniac attempting to bring the SS Sniper Wolf empire down, Leah's lawyers decided to quote an email sent by Evan in September that, from their angle, shows his nature to make veiled threats about the welfare of their shared business. Who's it addressed to, though? Well, of all the wonderful companies, it's an email to an employee at YouTube expressing concern that as a partner, he's been left out of essential business talks that he feels entitled to be included in, and that his initiation of a further lawsuit could bring bad press onto the brand if YouTube continued to promote Sniper Wolf. If you only isolated the portrait that Leah's representatives are painting, then it may appear that his behavior is coercive, but otherwise it just feels like a letter of genuine grievance the two parties are excluding him from various dealings that he feels he should be present for, and awareness that negative press could manifest as the lawsuit garners traction. One of the warnings enclosed in this letter is that if YouTube and Sniper Wolf continue in this direction, what may go public could seriously damage the brand. Sniper Wolf's lawyers take this comment to fallaciously assume at this point that Evan is referring to information that he would release, claiming that he is the only person who could technically do this. Any media-savvy person would know that a dispute which receives a supersonic publicity could be spread by another source, YouTubers or mainstream media alike. If anything, Evan actually provided everyone with a heads up of what was going on, one that seemed quite prophetic in hindsight. The negative press that SS Sniper Wolf's content was generating at the time and the movement against her provided the lawsuit with that extra bit of publicity to push it over into mainstream discourse, and everything that SS Sniper Wolf had spent years constructing between Leah and Evan began to collapse. With the fact that Jack's films appeared to be gaining more traction with his movement and with the information potentially on the cusp of virality, Leah took matters into her own hands.
I just want to talk.
It was a concerning escalation of what was at that point merely internet beef, which had only made a gentle dent in her cash flow. It felt like a return to the 2010s where she would have no reservations, completely overreacting to anybody who dared criticize her. It showed any apparent growth was worth absolutely nothing. If anything, it showed how she did need people like Evan as stabilizing factors on her channel. One can't help but wonder if there had been a reasonable person to question whether this was a good idea, that this could have been averted. Instead, she likely had yes men, braying fans who viewed her decisions through an uncritical lens, and of course, the continued blank check from one platform, known as YouTube. YouTube's involvement in most situations will always be a bit unclear, because they are such a large corporate monolith, it's difficult to evaluate what drama they're familiar with and how aware they are of the rabbit hole that might lie beneath it. It's not a company's obligation to take what the internet sleuths say at face value and act on what the crowd calls for. However, the letter disclosed in the lawsuit seems to show that YouTube wouldn't have just been aware of this situation transpiring on a conceptual level. The conflicts weren't just on their radar. Although it's not impossible that Evan is being dishonest here, given that it's used as evidence by his disputant, it feels more feasible than any evidence presented by himself. Going off the first paragraph of this email that Evan had made YouTube aware of some pending legal troubles and issues the past year, it seems evident that throughout much of 2023, YouTube weren't just aware of the affairs of Sniper Wolf, nor were they just passive observers. In reality, their role was one of much more active prominence than they were giving themselves credit for. That throughout most of the year, they were the ones propping her up and promoting her all over the platform and others. This kind of went without saying given their VidCon antics, but now we have another layer of information that appears to say they were doing all this while completely aware of the troubles that she was facing behind the scenes, and supposedly pushing her on regardless. It does beckon the question, what could YouTube have done, or moreover, not done?
At YouTube, you set the gold standard by surpassing 1 million subscribers. So please accept our congratulations, this gold play button to commemorate your achievement. Thanks for being awesome.
YouTube weren't the individuals who turned up to Jack's Film's house, and ultimately they're not clairvoyants. They probably considered the likelihood of this happening to be little to none. Evan's letter is much more referring to the actual lawsuit garnering traction than it's spawning any individual occurrence. When analysing the lawsuit, YouTube may well have been in the same boat as me and many others where they could not say definitively who was right or wrong. At the same time, when you're in that position, dealing with a potentially large creator with a lot of social influence, a history of bad behaviour, and a conflict with someone who's been very close to them for an exceptionally long time, you might actually want to act with mind to such contexts. You could be potentially meddling in a sensitive legal case where you're indirectly assisting someone who's conducting below board practices. At least as a business, even without the information that we know now, YouTube's obtuse approach seemed to have a detrimental effect on everyone involved. Many already knew that Leah was a bit of a loose cannon from her history of dealing with other controversies and allegations. There's no way that YouTube weren't aware, given the backlash their tweets about her caused and the content that regularly garnered traction on their platform. And every time an incident did occur, she gave people plenty of reason to believe that it wouldn't be the last time. She publicly argued with Jack's Films in the months leading up to that fateful October day, and as Jack took bigger and bigger chunks out of her channel, it was clear that she was not dealing with it well.
If you're not okay with Sniper Wolf making millions off of your own content while you don't make any money off of your content, you have the power to have it removed, possibly have the power to possibly strike her YouTube channel.
Compounding this with the lawsuit, Evan still notified YouTube, informing them their business was at stake, and YouTube did very little to nothing at all. And although at that point, in a way, that was all Evan was asking for, the damage had already been done. If they'd never done anything at all, they may have been in better stead to remove themselves from this situation. But throughout the past few years, they have gone out of their way to promote SS Sniper Wolf content as the best thing since sliced bread. In a way, their continued boosting of her content had inadvertently provoked the scrutiny that she faced a lot of the time as well. Even if much of the criticism was valid, YouTube had been more than happy to step in over the past few years when drama between creators appeared to spiral out of hand. So what was the difference here? It's little secret how intoxicating fame can be. Now, the wrong influence can very much enable bad behavior. We discussed that in the Ruby Frankie video, how embedded it can make someone in their ways, even when they're so wrong. If fame alone was intoxicating, how intoxicating is it to have said platform that's making you famous, cheering you on, telling you you're doing a great job, doing the right thing, even when clearly you're at least a bit wrong, and everything is kind of falling apart. It was falling apart for Sniper Wolf. Even if she's not a person of great empathy or feeling, she indubitably would have found much of 2023 extremely stressful. She was not immune to that. Many people were criticizing her, rightfully so, and pretty strongly, including her then husband, who was in a bitter divorce battle with her. Under the stress, I can't really say whether Sniper Wolf would have listened to anyone telling her to take a step back, but she certainly didn't need egging on. The least you can say for Frankie's case is that YouTube didn't ever really have a close relationship with her, and that at least gave them a degree of separation when accounting for her actions. Although Leah's acts were nowhere near as extreme, the same can't be said for YouTube's relationship with someone like Sniper Wolf, who clearly shared direct lines of communication to high-level divisions of the company who collaborated with her in the public sphere. They had taken a liking to her from the late 2010s, and this fondness had persisted and actually augmented in the early 2020s, where they made no secret of their enthusiasm for her milquetoast content. We've analyzed a variety of issues relating to Sniper Wolf's videos, past and present, but there is one factor that cannot be denied, and that is the reality that YouTube saw this content and said, yes, more of this please. The simple rule of ask and you shall receive springs to mind.
Hello friends, it's me, and today we're checking out people who got caught in 4K.
Before the information of this lawsuit was revealed, you could probably say that YouTube was simply not aware of what was happening behind the scenes to foresee such an incident, but that defense no longer really works. You now have the spouse of this person who's claiming to have given you more than enough updates on the situation, stating that they could be on the cusp of a PR disaster. I'll readily say that I don't think YouTube were 100% required to act. I think it would have been a nice gesture of de-escalation to sit her and Jack to establish creators across the table and see if there was a way without YouTube bloodshed, but they chose not to, and that's their prerogative. If they looked at her through an uncritical lens, then it may well have been hard to see that side of her for what it was. At the same time, when that side surfaced in the most hostile and even dangerous way possible, they should have acted not just to protect the creator ecosystem, but also Sniper Wolf herself, and that's where they failed. YouTube has come under fire in the past few years for their handling of mental well-being matters relating to creators, particularly those who may be subject to their wildly unreliable and inconsistent system, with many urging them to take a more active role in trying to alleviate this. A lot of the time, this applies to creators who feel like they have been completely overlooked by the platform. However, it seems that Sniper Wolf almost suffers from the opposite problem of being too closely nurtured and supported by a platform who blindly promoted her despite everything going on in her life, and all the vindictive behavior she exhibited.
So many creators weren't happy with the precedent this set. A temporary demonetization is YouTube's way of going, Sniper Wolf, have a holiday, do what you want for a couple of weeks until this all blows over, then we'll remonetize your channel, everything will be good, you can go back to stealing content and earning millions.
Now, Nerd City and other creators have presented compelling cases for what may be going on inside Sniper Wolf's head. And although none of us can be certain how the cogs inside that cranium of hers operate, the point remains that practically anyone could see that this was not a person who was stable or well adjusted under the circumstances. SS Sniper Wolf clearly wasn't doing particularly well throughout much of 2023. I could imagine that even for the most emotionally detached person, the dissolution of a marriage that had been intertwined with business would provoke negative emotions of some sort, particularly if you're not the one initiating it. That means there is a level of control that you don't possess. One thing about Evan is that he practically initiated all legal motions against Leah. Even a narcissist or a sociopath would absolutely despise that because they're in a constant battle for the upper hand, and that's not to say Leah is either of those things. These sorts of proceedings would really exasperate a person as they constantly fight for what they might believe is theirs. You're losing someone who at one point you probably thought would be your partner for life. Whether it's your own doing, it's often your undoing. The only legal motion that wasn't enacted by Evan as far as we know was the temporary restraining order, and we now know from the documents that the resolution of that was a court saying two people who are literally feuding still had to work together for a collective interest. The tension that sort of working relationship would generate is more than palpable, even for the most amicable figures, which Sniper Wolf was not.
Today I thought I'd do a video talking about all the fights I've been in. Honestly, it's been a lot of fights, I'll be honest. So let's just get right into it. Let's start off with elementary school.
YouTube may not have been aware of all these details, and up to a point they really couldn't do anything. Hell, I go as far to say as up to a point she turned up to Jack's Films house, they probably could say they were ignorant to the depths of where she was mentally. Sniper Wolf is a militant person with a knack for masquerading how she truly feels. But even by her standards, turning up to someone's house is the act of a person who is clearly not entirely there. It was an act of direct threat to a creator at their private premises, publicized to the entirety of the online world at the person's home address. Now, as said, back in the day when YouTube didn't really intervene in such matters, this may have been just an internet Wild West showdown, but in an era of online consciousness and deep relationships where people can actually become quite worked up, with some obsessive fans pushing the boundaries of acceptability, it was the evidence that everyone needed to implore YouTube to act affirmatively. Their first response, or at least their apparent response, a joke about reaction content, seemed to really misunderstand how serious many felt the situation was, especially considering the precedent that was being laid down. However, and I cannot emphasize this enough, it was a joke, which is also a statement that we can apply to their second response, albeit in a different context. Been presented with irrefutable evidence directly from the party themselves that one of their main creators was flying off the handle. This tweet, where they impose a very weak, unspecified sanction with no real lasting power, and a both sides comment that is embarrassing in the equivalence it tries to draw, was surprising even by their standards. YouTube isn't known for their harsh punishments, and although many wanted Sniper Wolf banned entirely, I think that many accepted that this was never going to happen, especially given her size and influence on the platform. Yet, I still think most expected something that would have at least made a dent in her income for a foreseeable amount of time. Instead, YouTube's intentional obfuscation of the length of this temporary demonetization meant that it could last for as long as they feel it would take for people's attention to be drawn elsewhere, which by modern internet standards isn't very long at all. All this would lead many outspoken critics to justifiably believe they were taking the side of Sniper Wolf, and maybe superficially they are. They're allowing her to continue creating content with monetization options on her other channels and even other videos supposedly. Even after all of her shenanigans, they presented a non-action to take people off their backs and allow Sniper Wolf to keep raking in the money through the loopholes that they knowingly left open. Everything seemed to be just a blank check for Sniper Wolf to continue exactly the way she had before. But was the choice that YouTube made the best option for Sniper Wolf? Or was it just the best option for themselves? At least before this incident, YouTube had picked a horse in the race. They could argue they were supporting someone to achieve their dream of YouTube stardom and all the prosperity that accompanied it. As a face of the SS Sniper Wolf channel, Leah inherently had more of a draw as a creator than her estranged husband, and with over 30 million subscribers, you can make the argument that her presence was just as important to maintain the pretense that the channel was authentic. This incentive was gone now. SS Sniper Wolf had more than enough money to last herself a fair while, and the impetus to keep her around certainly didn't seem to be for her well-being. She had just flipped out and inflicted a major wound on her own reputation as well, one that she had been trying to preserve at all costs throughout much of her career. Because of YouTube's lackluster reaction, she has continued to upload content and make ill-advised decisions regarding drama that has allowed people to continue this mill of commentary content on her platform presence, which will not be good for her. Although that initial outrage has subsided, the criticism and the coverage on the platform has not. If anything, YouTube had the perfect time to step in and do something for everyone's sake, Sniper Wolf included. If they weren't going to suspend her, at least a fixed term restriction that extended throughout her channels and encouraged her to actually take a proper break that may have allowed her to reevaluate her approach to creating content and conduct as a public figure. YouTube, the mental health advocates that they are known to be, saw one of their favorite creators having what could be considered a breakdown, and after waiting a week to digest it all, chose to do absolutely nothing, because at that moment, it wasn't in their interests. However, the question remains, what interests were they even protecting at this point? Well, let's remind ourselves why we are here in the first place. It's fairly easy to make the argument that YouTube's and Snipewolf's interests are at least somewhat intertwined, particularly when you pick apart the motives for why YouTube would want to keep a creator like her around. On the surface, there are reasons that we've mentioned before, hypothetical scenarios where SS Snipewolf leaves the platform and goes to a competitor where her restrictions cause less content to be created on the platform in that domain. But let's be honest, none of these scenarios, as inconvenient as they may be for YouTube, would ultimately knock their current market dominance. Outside the point that Snipewolf isn't a creator who possesses a massive cult of personality, and that she alone would not be able to necessarily join any old platform and shift the market share, she would simply never take that risk if she wasn't permanently banned. Part of her established success is that long-term investment from the platform, and if she was to migrate to another space, she is by no means guaranteed that same prosperity, given how the markets have become increasingly saturated with reaction creators and compilation channels. I feel YouTube knew that they had Snipewolf's loyalty. No, they were scared of something else.
Alright, let's do this one last time.
Earlier on, I spoke about the apocalypse and how it altered YouTube's approach to the creators it expressed preference for. It also taught YouTube another lesson though, something which hadn't really been a pressing issue until then, that being how the media as a whole would be drawn to make an example of YouTube as a platform when its creators and users crossed a line, and the potential financial implications behind it. With the apocalypse, I have little doubt that ads had ran on offensive content for years, and that this wasn't a particularly new development, but combined with the evolving socio-political landscape, a few incidents, and the pressure on social media sites to actually regulate their users and their content, YouTube was suddenly inundated with coverage over the morality of their business model. This in turn created a domino effect of pieces questioning the downfall of YouTube and a slew of advertisers completely withdrawing, afraid of the consequences of being associated with such controversy. This has made YouTube's relationship with creators and the media very unpredictable. On one hand, they've gone out of their way to promote the new YouTube as one that is a positive and empowering space. On the other, given at least their soft competition with many of the same media outlets and their owners who own streaming sites and networks, they've also been hypersensitive to the pushback that the pursuit of this image has received and are very reticent to online journalism as a whole. This includes pushback from within, creators and audiences opposed to certain practices, which often spills over into the mainstream. That means reaction content as a whole too. Now, I know what some people are probably thinking. Surely that should make YouTube harsher on creators that act in antagonistic ways or draw negative press. And in a way, it's not like they haven't been. In 2019, YouTube removed a fair few select commentary videos that they felt were offensive, including iDubbbz's content cop on Leafy. Hell, we already spoke about Leafy earlier, a creator who was ousted from his position on the platform due to his content. However, on the other hand, we've seen situations where creators have been let off very lightly. Other than following, what's the difference between someone like Leafy and someone like Snipewolf?
So, they ended up charging me with armed robbery because I thought I was shoplifting, and I assaulted security, apparently. You guys know me, I'm freaking tiny.
Well, from my perspective, it's because in YouTube's mind, Leafy's offenses all occurred on the platform and in his content. It concerned the theme of his existence. His continued success represented a mark on them that they felt if they continued to validate could land them in hot water. He possessed a brash indifference to anything YouTube were trying to do and ignored guidelines that they put in place. He was a ticking time bomb. As much as the SS Snipewolf drama was a YouTube matter, its escalation did not occur in any content of Leah's own. As a matter of fact, other than a few choice comments, Leah's standoffish nature only really surfaced on other platforms. Maybe this was intentional, but it still meant that YouTube always felt like they were half in, half out addressing it. Even other people who many felt received a slap on the wrist like Logan Paul had an offending video to actually address. YouTube had nothing to gesture around with here, so they just did whatever they hoped would shut people up, because the bottom line was that to them, if I'm quite honest, someone like Jacksfilms was more aligned with a creator like Leafy than Snipewolf was. Jax Films had created a channel and videos dedicated to criticizing and following Sniper Wolf's content, encouraging people to take action and hold her accountable. It could have been considered against YouTube guidelines even if people by and large supported it. The both sides comment was the most subtle way they could express that annoyance. The reason that they made this comment is because ultimately what Jack did, probably in their mind, was more damaging to the ecosystem of their platform than anything SS Sniper Wolf did. What Jack did had the capability to take down an entire, very well-established genre. It doesn't matter if he was wrong or right, he was against YouTube's interests. I'd ask everyone the question, how many of SS Sniper Wolf's videos, despite the amount of criticism that they have received, have actually been removed by YouTube's own team and not by Sniper Wolf herself? As far as I'm aware, there are exactly 0 known examples. You look towards videos that regularly cover other subjects and controversies, or channels that may reflect this, and it tells a very different story. The infamous cleanse of videos in 2019, they all provided commentary on someone, albeit abrasive or offensive. Videos on sensitive subjects like Daddy05 are restricted, but how many of Daddy05's videos were restricted back in the day? Hell, this even happened with Sniper Wolf and videos on her. Plenty of commentary channels demonetized or even censored for just covering the sensitive subjects. Kavos' video on Logan Paul's forest trip, which accrued millions and millions of views, quietly removed after a few years. Leafy's channel banned for uploading multiple videos on fellow creator Pokimane. Sure, the content was objectionable, but did YouTube really care about that? Or just what it represented? YouTube's decision to give Sniper Wolf no real motivation to step away was because they wanted more content from her, sure. But not just because of the money on the views, they're a huge platform whose viewers will find something to do with their time, but because of the symbolic direction her content represented and the refusal to validate people like Jack. Sniper Wolf possessed perfect nothingness that on the surface couldn't ever draw the controversy that would take them back to an era like 2017.
Content thieves like Sniper Wolf will have to rethink their entire strategy if the original creators keep calling them out and keep claiming their original content.
Jax Films talked about the slippery slope of creators turning up to individuals' private residences going unpunished, but YouTube were looking at their own slippery slope, the one where creator journalism is rewarded and generates more content, more publicity on the feuding side of YouTube, a movement against all alleged content thieves, many of whom generate a lot of money for the platform, a movement that creates more coverage from media outlets that will in turn drag YouTube's name and involvement into it. They couldn't send a message that might justify the continuous flow of creator-on-creator content. They don't want more Jax Films, they want more Sniper Wolves. This was not just about one creator, it was about a whole genre and what it represented. YouTube wants more Sniper Wolves. It's just, they're already in too deep with this one.
I think support each other.
From the start, SS Sniper Wolf knew what she wanted from YouTube, stardom, and she would stop at nothing to acquire it when joining the most efficacious route towards this scene through gaming, joining a community as a female gamer who provided commentary alongside her gameplay and showed off some pretty impressive performances. This drew in many of the male demographics at the time, but also helped promote women in gaming as a whole. As quickly as she had grown her channel through this method though, she switched up on that image and began to pursue other routes towards popularity, careening from genre to genre, before ultimately settling on reaction content.
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant!
I had to watch this several times on repeat to realize how he do that!
It's natural for creators to go through evolutions of what they feel is meaningful content to them. Few creators haven't at least dipped their toes in different types of videos. And although reaction videos have received some stigma in the past, I'd argue they can be interesting and creative. If someone wants to create reaction content because they actually do feel they have something to bring to a conversation, or comedy and commentary that they can enhance source material with, then more power to them. The problem with SS Sniper Wolf is that her interest never felt sincere, and her choice of much of this content seemed to rely on her inability to provide anything of value, more just rendering these videos glorified compilations for her to pocket the cash from. When you move between interests so unfaithfully, you're going to draw criticism from people who actually may care about the integrity of content and creators that exist in that sphere. SS Sniper Wolf is far from the only person to partake in being a bit of a content comedian. Many YouTubers who possess awareness of the frivolous nature of what they create are not going to take offense to people calling it what it is. But Sniper Wolf always acted like she deserves some sort of credit for what she was doing. Maybe there is some level of pure Machiavellian content creation that can be handed to her, but a majority of people aren't going to give her credit as a creative because she didn't bring anything unique to the genre. She wanted credit and respect for being an innovator when she fundamentally built her success off the backs of others, from the individuals who originated those genres to those who allegedly wrote scripts and provided background content for her. She wanted an image she never earned, which conveniently leads us to our next point. YouTube built an audience off the back of a simple slogan: broadcast yourself. It found success by creating internet celebrities out of creators who often did just that. Their content was amateurish, chaotic, and even provocative and controversial. Many of the largest creators at the time were people who really had no professional experience of content creation at all. For all its flaws, it was what made YouTube YouTube. Over the years, with the amount of money people realize can be made, it has attracted people and corporations who are more interested in the material benefits that can be yielded and appealing to audiences. People and corporations who are interested in developing the most effective business model. You'd think that maybe YouTube would be concerned about this, but when paired with the fact that the platform is constantly playing a PR game, they want individuals who are more malleable and commercially friendly, who will adapt their content to what YouTube envisions. Creators with less to latch onto, because it means there aren't the strong reactions that cause controversy and coverage in the first place. The problem is that it's not what people come to YouTube for. People come for that chaos, that personal touch of having individuals who are able to speak their mind and they know deep down that it's part of them that is inalienable. Otherwise, there wouldn't be an upload button available to practically every single person on this planet. But it won't stop them from dreaming. This is where YouTube and Snipewolf's interests meet. They both want an image so drastically different to the one they possess, and the one their actions have continuously yielded. It has brought them together because YouTube sees a creator who will oblige other people's interests, including theirs. When one trend dies down, Snipewolf can always hop onto the next one and make inoffensive content for the masses to consume there. On the other hand, Snipewolf sees a platform that is driven to have a brand that will be marketable and competitive in the content it creates. YouTube promotes Snipewolf promoting her content because they want more creators to be like her. It's a positive cycle in their mind. However, this is also where their interests become entangled because they're so focused on their own goals and how to enable them that they just don't really do what's best for the other when that relationship is threatened. I believe that when SS Snipewolf escalated the situation with Jax Films in October, she knew that YouTube would not give her proper punishment. If she believed her whole channel was at stake, then she probably would have acted differently. Although she was obviously not of particularly sound mind when making that decision, it was still a premeditated, deliberate choice to instill fear in a critic who needed to be silenced. It looked like it might work at first. Jax Films left that subject behind and she resumed posting on her main channel very shortly after the incident. But it's like chopping off the head of a hydra on steroids. It brings more and more attention to these antics. Alternatively, YouTube knew that Snipewolf would continue to upload content if they didn't actually properly punish her, making it a both sides issue to properly silence Jack. But if anything, they may have benefited both of them more if she'd taken a step back and waited for the heat to die down. Both parties acted to decrease criticism for themselves, knowing that the other wouldn't necessarily change their trajectory on the basis of their actions, but it still altered their relationship with people who actually witnessed and judged the situation. Although SS Snipewolf has continued to upload content, the views have been down significantly and currently show no real sign of recovery. Whereas before she was accruing millions of views per upload, current videos are fortunate if they pass 1 million, which is still not bad by any means, but for one of the platform's largest creators, it's a worrying sign. YouTube has now been saddled with a creator who's too large to replace but too issue-wrought to work with as well, so they're just going to let Snipewolf exist as a zombie channel on the platform with the hope that the storm can be outlasted. But it all highlights that one problem with platform and creator identity. YouTube and Snipewolf live in this world where they want people to see them as anything other than who they actually are, pursuing a portrayal which encourages them to act in censoring creators and critics who may bring attention to some of the rougher edges of their existence. YouTube may be the cause and SS Snipewolf may be the effect, but they're two sides of the same coin. Who is Snipewolf and what is she trying to prove? It's a question without a concrete answer and one that will differ from person to person. But does she even know herself? For a career marked by such an adamant defense of one's character, it's hard to really say what she was ever defending.
I don't really care too much about what Snipewolf does with her content or how she makes her videos or how many subscribers she's gaining or who she is. I'm trying to get the point across that if you have a problem in life, if you lie to somebody in life, if you're caught doing something wrong, it's okay. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Are you perfect?
No, I'm not perfect.
I know all of you guys in the comments down below, I know a lot of you guys just want to grab your pitchforks and be like, yeah, the battle has been won. But it's not about that. At the end of the day, you got to confront your mistakes and you got to stop lying about them and just apologize.
Whatever good faith support she accrued in the first few years of her stint on YouTube as a gamer, she squandered very quickly. She possessed no loyalty to any community or content, and her pivot to reaction videos was as transparently money motivated as any career choice. Most people saw it that way, but most people also wouldn't really care, and she could have very easily stayed in her lane and embraced this career as a person who made vapid but easily digestible content for the masses. Yet she always had to convince everyone that she was doing something greater. There was some purpose that justified her existence on YouTube. I don't really think there is, but I don't think that's a huge problem in of itself. The problem was much different.
Last night, Sniper Wolf, a massive YouTuber, showed up outside of our home, recorded a video of our home, and then posted it to her 5.6 million Instagram followers, goading me with the line, "Let's talk like adults."
A person with no boundaries of decency to actually seriously discuss their presence as a creator. A person who would rather resort to increasingly bizarre and extreme tactics to intimidate and induce harassment against anyone who had a problem with her, and even some who honestly didn't. The only time she really felt sincere in her actions was when she was being unnecessarily spiteful or vicious, because it was the only time when the motivations of self-preservation were at their most evident and unfiltered. Her attempts to explain or apologize were often so incoherent that it was almost like her body was actually fighting against her to write it. She has no limit for what she'll lie about, no matter how trivial or serious. It's very possible that much of the content that she built her career on was orchestrated by other people. There's a point where you just have to say that SS Snipewolf is barely even a real person. Her needs, her designs, her purpose, her stories that she often appealed to, there's nothing there to actually believe in. Sniper was a person so preoccupied with her own public image that she forgot to build one in the first place. It's like icing without the cake. Only that spite and fight exists, of which I still don't think she even knows what she's fighting over half the time. She just wants her enemies to suffer. And yeah, I don't think that's an uncommon feeling. It's just her bar for who her enemies are is significantly lower than usual because her ego is so fragile and she's so prone to lashing out. Either she's too aware or unaware of the artifice surrounding her child to actually ever confront it. She refuses to acknowledge or reflect on herself, so she'd rather turn that focus on others. It's a senseless cycle that could have ended with the help of other people. And yet...
You know who really needs to be in this rewind video? Everyone who managed to do something bigger than themselves this year. Who found a way to help the causes that matter to them most.
To everyone who proved it's okay to talk about mental health this year and showing their viewers that it's okay to go through tough times like that.
It takes a lot of bravery to be that vulnerable, and I'm so proud of this community.
Who are YouTube? And what are they trying to prove? From 2017, they've been motivated to prove to everyone that they take platform safety seriously. But all this situation revealed was that they don't really care how it is, just how it looks. They're as aware as anyone that bad actors are a presence and it's an inevitability on a platform of this size. But it feels like they live in a world where they don't want people or even themselves to be reminded of the darkest moments. From the savagery of people like Daddy05 to the tragedy of people like Etika. If you can't acknowledge those failings, then you're doomed to repeat them. And their handling of this situation does not fill people with confidence or security. Their failure to take proper action has just prolonged the sentiments of anger. It yields more content, more criticism, and more potential for conflict down the line. I've thrown out a litany of theories, but even I can't say for certain why they didn't actually take more decisive action towards a creator who turned up to someone's house and published it online after a very clearly documented pattern of bad behavior. This is a company who's gone out of their way to display solidarity for creator well-being and mental health, but did as little as possible the moment that a creator threatened another's welfare and made them feel unsafe in their own home, and didn't seem to clock that a person who instigates that may not be completely right in their head either, practically inviting them back immediately. The level of inconsistency they demonstrate can only really be explained by their own interest in these creators. But even those interests seem rooted in a selfishness that wants fewer YouTubers who actually do bring attention to said antics, regardless of who's enacting them. Who knows how much YouTube knew before then, but between the lawsuit over the person she slandered on her channel and the correspondence with Leah's husband Evan, there was more than enough evidence to assume that maybe this person wasn't so much the golden girl that YouTube claimed they thought her to be. If they actually cared about these antics, they could well have averted what happened on the 13th of October. Not necessarily preempting that specific instant, but maybe providing a more watchful eye over a creator who they closely associated and collaborated with, and using that relationship to steer her away from controversy. Yet instead, they chose to give her an amplified, unquestioned platform, which would only make her feel more justified in what she creates. Make her think that really she could do whatever she wanted without repercussion. And technically she could, because YouTube didn't really do anything, and for a strategy, I don't really know who that helped. I can only hope they've done more behind the scenes to prevent a repeat of this, but the truth is, we'll only know if it happens again. YouTube and Sniper Wolf spent so much time trying to prove an image that they neglected the simple fact that parties that are honest about who or what they are don't often need to prove it. Where they wouldn't feel every decision has to be taken with mind to an image. They just do what they feel is right. That's how an image is created. And if they make the wrong decision, hopefully they learn from it. Everyone has an image with flaws in it, sure, but most people's image is still based on their own beliefs and principles. They're not just composites of what they think people want to see. That's why SS Sniper Wolf will never be a sincere person, and YouTube will never be a sincere platform, eternally fighting for a perception that isn't there because every deliberate step just adds another tear to that masquerade, an eternal fight in a story that has to end. So why don't we go there now? We're approaching the finale, and I think there's seldom a better time to go back to the start and remember how we ended up here.
Ningwan Lee? I bet you that's pronounced wrong, but whatever. And they say, where is your boobs? Oh, they're right there. Scared me. I thought I lost them again.
Girl Gone Gamer was probably the first victim of SS Snipewolf's warmongering behavior. She was also one of the most unnecessary and unfortunate. Her content was designed to be a bit provocative and baity, but at the same time, she was clearly ironically using it to create something amusing and often positive. Watching her live play in particular made me quite sad because she's actually really likable and deals with the environment very well.
I'm subscribed to your channel.
Awesome.
Search and
As am
destroy.
I.
That's great. I'm so excited to hear that.
GGG. Like, does that mean gay?
Defend the
It
objectives.
means girl gone gay.
Can I have a shout out? Can I please have a shout out?
Well, I am recording right now, so...
Are you really?
I really am.
Already subject to rampant misogyny on a platform that was very hostile to female gamers at the time, Leah utilized that prejudice to launch an attack on GGG's credibility using criticism that appeared to be more applicable towards her. All because from what we can see, Girl Gone Gamer just didn't like her very much and didn't want to give her a platform. After this, she stepped back from her career and left the community. Well, a decade on, after rebranding her channel entirely and maintaining a relatively low profile, she wouldn't be blamed for choosing to avoid weighing in on such ancient internet drama. Nevertheless, in a video uploaded towards the end of 2023 titled Girl Gone Gamer Responds, she does indeed do just that.
No, but to be honest, I have been getting, you know, obviously often I get a lot of comments, GGG, Girl Gone Gamer, bring back Modern Warfare 3 gameplays, and I most of the time ignore them, but I thought that it would be fun to just give a little life update and answer some questions and respond to some things that I have been receiving a lot of messages about. Thing that I think I've been getting asked a lot over the past month or two, just like tons of messages and tweets and comments about, is some recent YouTube drama that has come about that I have been asked to comment on because of my history.
The video is now deleted for no apparent reason. It seems she has wiped her channel altogether. But in the video in question, she shares that she's been receiving a few inquiries about the situation and thought that she'd provide a general life update with this in mind.
I'm very happy and I'm super fulfilled, and I feel like I am my most self in the content that I create and the things that I put out in the world now in 2023, almost 2024, as Rhea and not as GGG.
She doesn't mention SS Snipewolf in the video, a decision to me that is designed to show how unconcerned she is by her or the publicity that name-dropping her might generate. She expresses that she's super happy with her life and feels very satisfied just doing whatever she feels like, and that she has no real intent in returning to that community, especially with the drama in mind. And if anything, the SS Snipewolf content gave her an out of a very toxic space, the one that another certain person appeared to thrive in.
When everything went down, to be honest, I took that as an excuse to be like, sick, I'm out of here, because this isn't fun anymore, it's not fulfilling, and people can believe whatever they want, and I'm gonna move on with my life.
In both these creators' lives, Snipewolf's video set a benchmark for what was to come. One person rising ruthlessly through the creator landscape, garnering fame and attention, but also stigma and criticism. The other ultimately withdrawing from that public sphere, but finding more fulfillment in their choices and settling down into what they felt comfortable with. Rhea knows who she is and doesn't have to fight every day to prove it. A statement that can't be applied to her opposition.
I was actually in the same position as GGG once. People thought I faked my gameplays and they kept asking me for live commentaries, but I just got it. So much requests for it. I didn't decline. I just made it, even though I suck at talking and playing at the same time. I ended up doing it no matter how bad it was, and yeah, just to prove myself.
Alongside her husband, Leah spent her career optimizing a brand that she thought would be the most agreeable to the masses, all while being an inherently disagreeable person when defending this image, partaking in a mix of underhanded and performative ventures in an attempt to poison the well against anyone who might dare question her or her behaviorisms. These PR methods went far beyond the pale of decency that many would intrinsically possess. Being so fragile about what was lightweight content meant that she often felt it easier to direct animosity towards her competitors and critics because pushing other people down was the best way to elevate elevate her own image. Her pursuit of that has thrown many people under the bus who could have actually been good friends or collaborators, turned many people against her who could have supported her. She's even had to go through a bitter divorce battle, of which the channel is a significant factor. Although I wouldn't go as far to say that she's alone, she has people.
That's it. Game over. Video done.